Hey there, Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back to another video. Okay, so I'm early today. I'm early once again. It is getting so dark earlier now. And I also just want to say before I get into this, please excuse my appearance. I'm just not feeling the best today. But welcome back. Welcome back to another video. Um, my name is Hannah. If you're new here, I am a Western Practical Astrologer. And in today's video, we're going to be talking all about this upcoming new moon in Scorpio. So it's going to be taking place next Monday, so on the 13th of November. And if you are a returning viewer to the channel, welcome back. Happy to have you here. Okay, so we're just going to get right into this presentation today. Hello, Alexandra. Good morning. How are you? Well, it's the evening here now. So yes, the new moon in Scorpio happening on the 13th of November. Now, before we really get into it, I just want to let you know of the astrology products that I have available. There are ebooks, there's a guide, there's cheat sheets. All the links to these products will be in the description box down below. You can also find them on Etsy, any digital products on Etsy. And if you do want extra astrology content early, then you can become a patron over at Patreon. And I do just want to say thank you so much to my patrons over there. I hope you can join. Okay, so here is an overview of what we're going to be exploring today. Okay, so we're going to be looking at this new moon in Scorpio. There's quite a bit happening actually during this new moon. So as you can see here, the sun and moon will be at 20 degrees. There will also be a conjunction to Mars, and Ceres as well will also be a part of this. Now Mars will actually be combust, so we'll get into that a little bit. And then also there will be a sextile to Pluto occurring. Keep in mind that Mars is home in Scorpio, and then also the other ruler of Scorpio, Pluto, is making a sextile to the sun and moon. The orb is quite wide, but I would still say, especially with Mars sextile Pluto, there is some significance here. And then also we're going to be exploring Venus in Libra, and then there's some aspects happening with Venus in Libra, which we're going to get into. Pallas is also in Libra there, along with the of course the nodal axis in both Aries and Libra. And then up above we see here Vesta retrograde, which will sextile Jupiter, and then Juno will also trine Jupiter. Uranus will also oppose this new moon, so that's going to be a highly significant aspect which we're going to explore. And so Uranus retrograde will actually oppose all of that Scorpio energy, and there will also be an in conjunction to the South Node. And then I've also put there a yod. Now with that one, I mean, you wouldn't technically speaking, it's not yod, but I've put it as a yod because I just feel as if there's something quite significant on a collective level coming up here to do with certain aspects. So we're going to get into that. And then also Saturn in Pisces square Mercury in Sagittarius. And then there will also be a same degree square between Mercury and Black Moon Lilith. Alexander, you said you're fine. Astro Theme told you that you have 100% compatibility with Natalie Portman. Isn't that nice? Well, that is nice, yes. I don't know how accurate that is, but you know. Oh dear. But hey, it's just with real life, you know. You have to really experiment with that, test that out. But anyway, let's move on. Okay, so like I said, this new moon was so the number 20, of course, will come number 2 in numeral terms. So the number 2, of course, in numerology looks at things like harmony, support, balance, partnership, cooperation, agreement, patience, these types of themes. And then also keep in mind that this new moon is taking place within that Scorpio Pisces decan. So looking at that second decan within the water trilogy, if you will. So Yeah, that one is that's quite an interesting one because I think the Pisces energy with this invites greater like unconditional love, empathy, compassion. I just think the Pisces part of it creates a lot more depth, and even it invites a great deal of healing here as well. And then let's also just as a reminder of what new moons are, what we do during new moons. Essentially, the sun and moon meet together. You think about the sun; it's like the spirit, and then the moon is more so to the soul, tied to the soul. So it's like the spirit and the soul they join together, and they make the exact same degree. And new moons are a great time then for us to set new intentions. Okay, it's like tied to new beginnings, the beginning of a new cycle, which this new cycle is quite, I would say, significant, especially coming out of the eclipses in both Taurus and Scorpio over the past 18 months or so. Well, past few years, a couple of years actually. And then we also had the nodes in both Taurus and Scorpio there. So I think that this is sort of like a fresh start with respect to Scorpio energy, even more potent given the fact that Mars is home in Scorpio and it's very, very close to the new moon. But yeah, so new moons, fresh start, fresh perspective, planting new seeds. We reflect, we become quite quiet. It's a really good time to go inward during new moons. It's a good time to just really think about, what intentions do you wish to set, or how are you feeling truly? Like, how are you feeling? And what is it that you need as well emotionally? How can you support yourself emotionally? And also, the thing about new moons is that our feelings can be amplified, right? We can be quite sensitive, especially with this being the Scorpio new moon. This sign is extremely sensitive. So I would just recommend during this new moon to consider your feelings overall, okay? And to pay close attention to those sort of undercurrents, right? And they may be intense. they they may be felt quite strongly, quite heavily there, which we're going to talk more about this. Hello, creator. Hi, welcome. Welcome to you. I hope you're doing well. Okay, so I'm just going to put my glasses on. They should have been on me from the beginning, but hey, 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 here we go. By the way, I am wearing a scarf, okay? I am wearing a scarf indoors. It's just cold. This is what you're going to get from me all winter. from throughout autumn, winter, probably up until I would say March time, I'm going to be wearing a scarf in every single live stream, probably. Creator, you said that you're doing great. Good. I'm glad to hear that you're doing great. And I am doing okay. Okay. I'm looking a little bit worse for wear today. I'm feeling a bit worse for wear. But you know what? On a positive note, the gym was good this morning. Yeah, I'm getting stronger, lifting heavier, feeling good. I was feeling really good. I just think even coming into winter, the darker months, I'm probably going to be a little bit more sluggish. I think that's a normal thing. Less sunlight. I'm like, oh, I miss the sun. It's a love-hate relationship. Okay. I love the celebrations. I love the festivities. I love the coziness, the warmth, but I don't like having less sun. Mm-mm. Hello, Sonia. Welcome to you. You said, hello, Hannah. You're back with a new and improved attitude. No, you do not need to apologize at all. I did not receive it as such. And much love to you as well, Sonia. Happy to have you here. Um, and also, creator, your moon is in Scorpio as well. Okay, so is this new moon gonna take place like close to your natal position there of your moon in Scorpio? I do wonder. Right, so we're gonna move on. So let's explore a few things to do with this new moon. Okay, so we have here the first quarter moon, which will happen in Scorpio August 2024. So basically, right, what we're doing during this new moon coming up is we're going to set those intentions. We're going to plant new seeds, as previously mentioned. And then the first quarter moon in Scorpio will happen August 2024. So summertime 2024, Can it be that time already, please? So I don't have to wear a scarf in every single live stream. I'm joking. I'm joking. Okay, I'm going to get more serious again. Okay. So yeah, during that time period, our commitments will be tested. So the intentions that you set now, your commitments will be tested around that time. And then there will be a full moon in Scorpio, May 2025 at 22 degrees. Keep in mind that that's where Mars is right now. Well, during the new moon. So that will be a time period to shed, release. Full moons are great as well for reaping rewards in this way. And then there will be the third quarter moon in 2026. And so that's when we're going to adjust. That's when we're going to really think about what we have learned. In fact, today, so the day that I am recording this, the day that we're live here, it's the third quarter moon in Leo, which has something to tell us actually about the new moon in Leo that occurred back in August 2021. So we're finishing up a few matters here to do with our Leo house. So I just wanted to mention that. Let me see here. Alexander, you said you always wear a t-shirt no matter if it's summer or winter. Oh, really? Can I ask though, is your heating on in your house? Is the heating on? I do not have my heating on. Creator, you said you prefer when Persephone comes back up. Yeah. I know. Do you know what? I was actually thinking the other day about the name Persephone and just how much of a beautiful name that is. And I was like, if I ever had a baby girl, I would love that to be her name. That's just such a beautiful name. Miss Foxy Phil, you said the new moon happens in your first house, 4-degree orb from your sun. Okay, so quite close to your sun there, Miss Roxy Phil. And welcome to you, by the way. I hope you're doing well. Creator, you said yours is at 15 degrees. Oh, yes. Okay. It's pretty close by. Hello, Eddie. Welcome. Hello, Time. Welcome to you as well. It's so funny to say that out loud. Hi, Time. Welcome, Time. Fun. Alexander, yes, you said the heating is on. Without the heating, you'd be Oh my gosh. Sonia, you said the new moon is happening very near your Neptune. Okay, so if you got Neptune rising, then right close to your Scorpio ascendant there, and it's exact on your natal series next to Lilith. Oh, so you've got a few Scorpio placements as well. What's the time? You ever play that game as a child? What's the time, Mr. Wolf? Did anybody play that? I think the way you played that game was so the wolf would be standing in the front uh, by a wall, and then there would be children behind that person. And then they would walk forward, and was it something about they would say, "What's the time, Mr. Wolf?" from behind, and then the wolf would say, "What time?" Yes, this is it. This is it. Okay. So there would be the wolf at the front, and then the kids are to walk forward, and they go, "What's the time, Mr. Wolf?" And then the person at the front, who's the wolf, would say, like, "It's 2 o'clock." So that meant that the kids would have to walk 2 steps, or they would say, "What's the time, Mr. Wolf?" "It's 5 o'clock," and then they'd walk 5 steps. And then they'd say, "What's the time, Mr. Wolf?" And then the wolf would say, "Dinner time," and then like run after after the kids and catch them. I don't know where my brain went there. I don't know. Oh my gosh, so many things are going like popping in my brain right now. And there was actually a really great live stream the other day, and I know I'm kind of going off track a little bit, but I love this about live streams as well. I can do that, right? But there was a live stream the other day with astrologer Istis from Deep Chill Astro, and we were talking about our Capricorn stelliums. I definitely recommend that video if you want like more information about Capricorn stelliums. He's such a knowledgeable astrologer, by the way. Highly recommend his work. But we were talking about Capricorn stelliums, and it got to me saying about, oh, well, I've got the Aquarius energy, and then I've got that Capricorn stellium energy, and how does that play out for me? And walking away from the stream, I have been reflecting on it more, and I realized that my Aquarius energy has that more of that potential to sort of just to go off track a little bit and to be goofy and weird, like kind of unpredictable. There's this other element, I guess, of surprise and um wanting to ramble a little bit, I think, with that air energy. But anyway. So yes, that was the game that we played as kids. Did anybody else play that game? What's the time, Mr. Wolf? Were we the only ones? We the only ones who did it? Uh, and then Creator, you said not put the heating on much so far, but just turned it on. It's chilly. Yeah, it's getting to that time of year. Okay, so let's also explore the fact that this is the first new moon in Scorpio after the eclipses, right? So to me, this is sort of like a fresh start. It's a fresh start within your Scorpio house, and it will take place at 20 degrees. And this is interesting because 20 degrees is the Scorpio degree. So this makes this energy, I would say, quite potent. But what is it all about then with this new moon? I put loads of like keywords here to do with Scorpio energy. I mean, so this is a new moon where perhaps, we're gaining a fresh perspective about things like our unconscious motivations, our unconscious intentions, any compulsions. Scorpio energy can be like a very compulsive sign. Um, and so it's these compulsions that can be subconscious. We may not realize that we're doing them. So I would say that this can be a new moon to sort of reflect, to go inward, to think about such matters. Also, new intentions then to do with things like any control or like power, especially any power hungry tendencies or resentful tendencies, suspicions, these types of things. But you also got to think about it through perhaps a more beneficial, positive lens, in that perhaps some of our suspicions are valid and reasonable too. So yeah, this new moon could bring up such matters, bringing what is hidden to light. This is very much Scorpio energy. And then also secrets are typically revealed. We're noticing this during Scorpio season in general. And this doesn't mean like, oh my gosh, people are lying to me and there's so much deceit and deception around me. Of course, there could be elements of this. But I think the secrets part of it even further looks at what is hidden within the self. Okay, what needs to be sort of brought to light? What is it about ourselves that we're sort of blinded to? We ignore. Maybe certain things are just too painful or too difficult and challenging to assess. So there is, I would say, a sense of bravery and courage involved. Of course, Mars is also there, and this adds, I think, to that like courageous behavior. But then the other thing I want to say with this is a new moon where perhaps we're going to be starting a new cycle to do with focus, to do with a higher fit purpose. Scorpio energy is more about what's deeper, what's more meaningful. And like I said, the higher purpose of something. And it makes it quite a spiritual sign in this respect. So these themes, it's almost like all the things that are buried beneath the surface are going to come bubbling up, bubbling up, bubbling up. And then that's that the new moon then is like a way for us to perhaps access that and to really reflect. And the last thing that I even just wanted to share, just as sort of like a side note and something interesting, I think, about Scorpio energy is, well, let's think about how Scorpio rules the eighth house, okay? And this is something about the eighth house that I very rarely talk about. But the eighth house also looks at major life transitions and transformations. Yes, we all know that it's a house of transformation, but I think that what this can indicate is like, for example, giving birth, right? And I think the eighth house can show us the type of like the type of ways in which we transform after, for example, we give birth, or after we divorce, possibly, or after we get married. It looks at those big transitional periods, even like major breakthroughs in therapy, right? That is big. That's huge. So basically what I'm trying to say here is that this is also a new moon where it's inviting major life shifts, especially coming out of these eclipses in Scorpio and Taurus, because this is this fresh start then. And I just see this as we've learned so much over these past few years. And this is a new moon where we're like, right, these are all the things I've learned within my Scorpio house. Now it is time. It is time to set new intentions here with this fresh set of eyes, like looking at the new perspective. Scorpio is such a perceptive sign. And the other thing I want to say with this is, of course, Mars. Mars is conjunct the new moon. It's at 22 degrees. This is the Capricorn degree, right? So there's something about rebuilding ourselves. There's something here about gaining like momentum, I think, with this new moon. Okay. And there's also something long term about it, right? Looking at the long haul, thinking here about how we can be persistent and how we can persevere. And of course, Mars is exalted in Capricorn. Now, I know Mars isn't in Capricorn during this new moon, but with this being the Capricorn degree, I just find that little connection. It's very nuanced, but it's interesting to me because it shows like the sheer drive and the sheer determination. Now, this Mars is actually going to be on my Pluto. So I have Pluto at 22 degrees in Scorpio in the third house. Now, I don't have any personal planets in Scorpio. So I would not say that I'm like a Scorpio sort of heavy person or ruled person. But because a personal planet like the transit Mars is coming and it's right on my Pluto, I just feel as if there's going to be something quite strong and powerful about the ways in which I act, the ways in which I initiate here. Mars energy then looks at how we can pursue things. So, with that Pluto energy, perhaps it looks at some type of transformation there. And the other thing, just to kind of go off on a little bit of a side note again. So I actually have Mars in Capricorn at 22 degrees, and it's making the exact same degree as Pluto. So there's going to be a sextile between the transit Mars in Scorpio and then my natal Mars in Capricorn. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens over the next while within my houses of communication and writing, and then also creativity here. So who knows? Perhaps I'm already kind of thinking about what could possibly be up ahead. But yeah, woohoo! That should be fun. But I also want to then bring this back to you and say, explore your chart. Explore if you have any placements in Scorpio. Do you have any placements or planets in Taurus opposite this new moon? Any sextiles there with Capricorn and Virgo? The trines, even look at trines. They're thinking about Cancer and Pisces. Okay, so yeah, explore your chart and see if you can find any interesting connections coming up for you. The thing about the horoscopes that I do on here at the end of every session is that I'm looking here at those 12 signs, but I understand that we all have our own unique charts. So yeah, I just wanted to say that. Now, the thing about this Mars in Scorpio energy, of course, it's such a strong energy. It looks at resilience, it looks at bravery, courage. But this is Scorpio, and this Scorpio energy is about, right, we're pushing boundaries. That Scorpio energy, it is willing to push limits. It's willing to push boundaries. And it's refuses, basically. Mars and Scorpio energy is like, I refuse to take no for an answer here. I refuse to give up. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep moving. And there can be like this under the radar quality to this, right? In that, you know what? Perhaps not everybody needs to know your moves. There's something here about Mars and Scorpio that says work behind the scenes. Don't let everybody else in on your plans. Be stealthy, be strategic. And then, whenever you've sorted everything out behind the scenes and you're ready to present that information or whatever it is, could be a project, for example, when you're ready to present it to the world, it's like, wow. And then people are blown away by it. And perhaps it's groundbreaking. But the whole thing is, it's like, hush, hush. Hush, hush. Don't show people too much, okay? Have this element of mystery to you, because that mystery can actually help you get ahead. This is Scorpio territory, and I love it. I love it. My Mars sextile Pluto is like, yes. Anyway, so my question then is, how have your emotional depths changed? I mean, I know for me how things have changed internally for me, like on an emotional level, but I'm not going to share every single thing about such matters. But I know within myself what has changed. So ask yourself, what's changed for you? Okay. And you may find that, there's been a lot that has come up for you emotionally speaking, over the past few years with these eclipses in Scorpio. Now, Mars will be combust, right? So the combustion of Mars here during the new moon, of course, we're coming up to the Mars Cassimi just a few days after Mars combust. The Mars Cassimi, I've talked about it a little bit in the November horoscopes, so check that out. Definitely check that video out for more information. But the Mars combustion during the new moon, it can be quite irritating. Intensely so, okay? Because this is Scorpio energy, right? It's this type of energy to me that's like is it brooding, that brooding energy, just thinking so much about the people who wronged me, and they're going to get what's coming to them, and they're going to get a taste of their own medicine. It's this type of stuff. This can be quite a tense time during this new moon. So there is that, and I'm not saying that this is necessarily a bad thing or it's wrong. It could be that there are certain people where it's like they have wronged us and they have effed us over, if you will. And the thing, this is what I'm coming to learn about Pluto, is let Pluto do its thing. When it comes to like when people hurt us or do something wrong, and as a way to sort of like spite us or put us down, or whatever it is, any trickery, any deception, all this type of stuff, Pluto reminds me that sometimes in life it's best just to sit back, and let time and karma take care of it without interfering. To be honest, we see this with what is it? I don't mean to go too much off here, but we notice this with the whole Britney Spears situation right now. From the past, a lot of stuff coming up from the past, and Britney Spears no longer confined by this. Was it a conservatorship or whatever the term is for that? I really don't know very much about it, but that's ended, and so she was then able to publish her side of the story, right? She's got a Libra rising. This Libra rising wasn't able to tell her side of the story. We know about Libra. Libra's like, okay, this is your side of the story, but this is my side of the story. But she didn't get that opportunity to do that. Now she has that opportunity. And what do you know? All of these like Pluto elements coming up here for the people involved. Okay. And yeah, the thing to do with the past coming up, it's coming up, and putting things into their own place. Just going to say it like that. Now, there will also be that sextile to Pluto. So I think that this is even inviting like authority issues, possibly, because the thing is, sure, this is a sextile, and that can suggest like smoother energy flow between Pluto and the new moon and Mars. But Mars is combust, remember? So there's that kind of irritation and that frustration that's going on, okay? So with a sextile to Pluto, this can perhaps look at these authority issues, okay? Issues regarding the law, issues regarding crime, issues regarding corruption. We're seeing this. We are seeing this on the center stage right now, right? So it's all building, right? There's something that's brewing, there's something that's building, and that's very Scorpio energy. You can feel it. You can feel it. And then also we look here to overcoming, right? There's this force, there's this push factor coming up, I think. And there's that resilience, there's the ability to overcome. I just feel like there's a lot of people during this new moon who are pushing back against authority, or they're pushing back against what they disagree with strongly. They are seeking some type of justice. They are seeking some type of, well, I would even say revenge, where it's like, yeah, going back to that person's going to get a taste of their own medicine. There's this type of energy brewing right now. Um, and then also a lot of people tapping into their own personal power. And yes, creator, I know there, of course, the thing about people who have wronged us, they do not necessarily always get what's coming to them. I know that. Um, of course, what I was saying there, it doesn't mean that it's like this collective of truth. Okay, that was just one part of it that I was trying to explain. But yes, it is a shame that certain people do get away with horrendous acts. I know that. I know. Right. So let's also explore Uranus retrograde opposite Scorpio. So this Uranus retrograde is going to be opposing this new moon. And then also Uranus is going to make an in conjunction to the South Node. So this is quite a tense time, okay? Arguments backfiring, out of the blue frustrations, out of the blue rage, people taking back their power. This is what I was trying to mention a moment ago. People pushing back against restraints and limitations. A lot of people have had enough. Uranus retrograde as well will be at 21 degrees. This is the Sagittarius degree. This is about standing for truth and freedom regarding resources, regarding humanity. Okay, and I suppose it does sort of link in again with what you were trying to get at there, creator. Well, at least in my view, anyway. It's like there's so much shady business that goes on, and this is also Scorpio energy, right? This is the Scorpio energy of like the hidden stuff, the sleazy stuff, the stuff that goes on behind closed doors, the things that are kept secret, the things that are kept hush hush. But I think Uranus retrograde opposite, I think it's pointing toward all of this collective change. And this is being ushered in more and more and more as the years go on. Of course, Pluto is going to enter Aquarius again next year. And then Uranus is going to enter Gemini. So big shifts coming up here for humanity in this way, which we'll talk more about that closer to the time. Now, also social disagreements, okay? Difficulty getting on the same page, being confused about which way to turn. I think a lot of people are feeling like really at a crossroads. Like, who's being honest? Who can we trust? It almost seems as if we can't trust anybody. You think about it perhaps in a political sense. And then also more energy in Scorpio indicating power, anger, vengeance, confrontation. Okay, if there's that Scorpio stellium, right? There is that stellium happening. So it seems as if this energy is more, it's like overpowering the Uranus retrograde energy in a lot of ways. And it is more so looking at what is boiling beneath the surface and what is going to come to a head, what is going to be released in this respect. Like an explosion of sorts, an emotional explosion. And then also looking here at these fixed signs of doing things our own way. This can be quite a confrontational time. It's not to say that that is necessarily like a bad thing. I think through confrontation and arguments, we then can find solutions as well. But I think that if you're trying to force someone to listen to you during this new moon, it's not the best time, especially with that Mars combustion. Now, on a personal level, okay, which of course the thing that I'm trying to mention here, just to backtrack, is um, well, just to go to go one step back, a lot of this stuff is to do with the collective. Okay, Uranus retrograde is this collective generational planet, but still on a personal level, perhaps we're going to feel strongly about sharing, about emotional depth, strongly about hidden truths. But there's also a lack here of hearing each other out, okay, wanting to make a difference, but feeling like we're not being understood. There's so much noise online. Who is telling the truth? Mercury will be in Sagittarius actually during this new moon. So I think that this is going to look at, a lot of people and their morals, a lot of people of what they think is the right thing to do, and people being very blunt and frank about their own views, their own opinions. But then the thing about this is that there's not really many solutions being made. It's just a lot of information that's being spread about. And then again, it's like, well, who is telling the truth? Which way do you turn? This is the type of energy that we're getting from this. And then also that in conjunction to the South Node, how do our own biases, and judgments redirect us from collective change, difference? Is that what I put there? Well, breakthroughs, I suppose, same kind of thing. Yeah, breakthroughs. Perhaps it is that there's this desire to want to make a breakthrough, but trying to see eye to eye, oh, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. Now, the other thing is there are these aspects going on between the generational planets. So again, collective themes. I mean, these generational planets have something to say, especially right now, with all these aspects happening. And we're going to talk about this yod, which again, I know is not technically a yod, but I put it as such just to try and highlight something. But huge collective themes regarding power, control, and the spread of misinformation. What is it we even noticed? Like things, these big things like is it like cancel culture, what you can share online, what you can't share online. Yeah, these are the things about technology, and I think that a lot of this is just going to become amped up more and more and more as Pluto enters Aquarius and Uranus enters Gemini. And then as well, crisis. It can feel like a crisis. Tensions come to a breaking point as well. How are we being manipulated? How can we use discernment? Are we being steered away from the reality of collective situations? Are we being steered away from trying to actually get along with one another too? Me versus you. This is what we notice, of course, with this Scorpio opposition to Taurus. We notice this as well with Aries opposing Libra. We have a lot of oppositions actually happening here at the beginning of November. So many. And oppositions, yes, oppositions can look at, right, okay, let's find a middle ground. Let's try and find some type of balance. But I also think that the oppositions, there's a push and pull, right? There's a push and pull. It's me versus you. You're this, you're that, da 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 da. And then the other person's like, well, you're this and you're that, da 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 da. And you're just like, well, someone in the middle. Imagine a mediator in the middle. Well, How are you gonna explore that? And I think perhaps in this way, this is a beneficial time to try to act as that mediator for ourselves, if you will. And this will leads me on to the yod. The south node is the finger of God. And the south node is in which sign? Libra. Pallas is also there in Libra. So, how can we support each other? Can we pass on gifts of negotiation and cooperation? Yes, the South Node looks at things that we're trying to ease up on, let go of, this type of stuff, but it also looks at the types of gifts that we bring. So, how can we, in a way, pass on these gifts? How can we support each other? So, these are the big, big themes coming up. But at the same time, releasing the whole thing of sitting on the fence too much. What comes in my mind is the whole thing of when someone doesn't make a decision, is the decision within itself. You've chosen not to make a decision. And I think the North Node in Aries kind of points toward this a little bit. Asks us to make a decision and to act. Okay. And maybe this requires bravery. Maybe it requires honesty. And maybe it's also recognizing that we don't have to agree with everybody around us, and it's okay to think for yourself too. But then you see Chiron retrograde in Aries is also there, and this is looking at collective healing, but also the pain and the sorrow of arguments. I put there WAR. There's a lot of sadness, a lot of sadness, a lot of pain coming up here. And I also think this looks at like fighting with each other. So these are the types of themes that we're dealing with, I think, during this new moon. They're quite intense indeed. Hello, Tracy. You said that you're late and you have a Scorpio moon and it's your dynamite day. Whoo. But yeah, I hope you're doing well today, Tracy. Okay, so Saturn will be in Pisces and it will square Mercury in Sagittarius. Now, there will also be that square between Mercury and Lilith. Right, so what does this suggest? Blocking the truth, refusing to listen. I think with the activations of both Pisces and Sagittarius, you think about how they're both Jupiter ruled. You think about how both of them can sort of look at morals and their own beliefs. Pisces, especially with their spiritual beliefs, Sagittarius, with their philosophical beliefs. But that within itself, that can create some sort of conflict, I think. Okay, we're noticing here then difficulties listening, trying to understand. It's important, I think, to take our time to learn more and to educate ourselves more, I think, with this aspect. And as I say, taking your time with it. It can be really difficult to learn a completely new subject or to educate ourselves on a certain issue or matter that is so far beyond what we've ever known. That takes time. And also understanding the power of our words and our voice, but also the freedom to choose. I think that this looks at how many people are feeling a pressure to speak up whenever they don't actually have the facts. But then this also looks at assuming the worst whenever we do communicate. Backlash, kind of going back to the opposition of Uranus, right? That backlash. Things backfiring. It could also be that we're very sensitive to feedback and other people's strong opinions and their beliefs, feeling fired up as well. I mean, this is Mercury in Sagittarius, this fire sign. This can also look at negative thinking, negative thought patterns, being narrow-minded. Positive thoughts are limited by sadness, by stress, by loneliness. And I would also say with this one, just to be cautious of turning to substances or any sort of unhealthy dependencies, right? I mean, this could also look at avoidance, running away from our problems, burying our head in the sand, this type of energy. And I also want to say Mercury square Lilith can look at being really, really vicious with our words. And I mean vicious. And also the fear surrounding being cast out for what we say. Lilith, of course, looking at the mythology, she was cast out. She was seen as this outcast. You don't belong here. So Mercury square Lilith is like, well, you said that, well, you don't belong here. It's this type of energy we're dealing with right now, coming up to this new moon. Then we also see here Venus making in conjunctions to Jupiter retrograde and also Saturn. So collaboration blockages, limitations can feel like we are being set on a wild goose chase, or like we're running around in circles. Relationship solutions amongst our peers and our social groups within our social circles, they're not straightforward, they're not clear. Is it that we're all just sort of, wanting to argue with each other? How can we grow? How can we address bigger picture questions? And then on a personal level, I think listening could be very useful, taking our time to try to understand, there's a difference there, isn't there? A lot of people talk about, oh, communication is key, communication is so important. But do you take the time to understand where someone else is coming from? And there's a big difference in that. Making sure as well that we have all of the information we need. And I think that what this means is to be able to weigh the pros versus the cons and exploring possibly like any alternatives available to us regarding our resources, regarding our earnings, our security, our relationships. Of course, Venus is in Libra, and Venus being in Libra, this can be quite a nice position for Venus, actually. Venus is home in Libra. This can look at, healthy exchanges within relationships, gaining feedback within relationships, trying to cooperate, trying to get along, but then also equally as much, being being aware of when things are too out of balance. And perhaps, we think about how there are so many like oppositions between the signs. This Venus and Libra energy can act as that negotiator. Like I was saying earlier, it can act as that in between point. And I mean this as well, even just like within ourselves. And then, of course, Venus will actually sextile Mercury. So that's actually quite a harmonious sort of aspect there, you know? And so perhaps this can indicate like quite good social skills if we, really try to work on that. Perhaps we can use our communication as a way to create greater harmony around us. Or we can try our best, we can try our best to, communicate in such a way where the people in our lives feel like they're being understood. And perhaps we can also communicate in such a way where we can see the opportunities, we can see greater possibilities available to us. In that, we think about the Saturnian energy, we think about the square to Mercury, we think about that in conjunction there between Saturn and Venus, and we think about the limitations there, the blockages. Perhaps the sextile between Mercury and Venus is looking at, do you know what? There's actually a lot of possibility here, and you just don't see it. There is another way. There's another way. And then lastly, what we have here is Vesta retrograde, which will sextile Jupiter, and then Jupiter will also trine Juno. This one I find interesting because when we look at the mythology, right? So Jupiter trine Juno, this is essentially like harmonious aspects between Zeus and Hera. Now, Zeus and Hera did not have the best of relationships. I mean, Zeus cheated on Hera multiple times. And the thing about Juno as well, I suppose, in this way, is that Juno can also look at how we retaliate whenever we've been betrayed, whenever there is infidelity, within the relationship, how we retaliate to that. Can also look at our retaliations whenever it feels as if things are not fair, right? There isn't a healthy sense of give and take. But because there is this harmonious aspect, perhaps what this is looking at is, you know what, this is a time period, a little stage in Zeus and Hera's relationship where they actually get along. Sure, it wasn't all bad for them. Right? Okay, this is maybe a little time period of, oh, you know what, things are good here. But like really, to be more serious about this can look at greater commitment, sensibility, acts of service, give and take regarding earthly matters. And Vesta, retrograde, sextile Juno and Jupiter, this adds protection and safety. This is a new moon, I think, where it's like the people in your life. I've talked about this all year, not every session, but I remember at the beginning of the year, I was talking about like the importance of the people that you value and then you hold near and dear to you and keeping them close. Remind your family, remind your loved ones of how much they mean to you. Because the thing is that during times of global destruction, during times of chaos, I mean, yeah, we are reminded of the importance of holding our loved ones close. Don't take them for granted. And I know that it's not black and white. I know. It's not so straightforward. It's especially not so straightforward if it is that certain family members are the ones who are hurting us the most, or this type of thing. But I'm really referring to the people who who you think of and you're like, you know what, those people support me and I love them. And you know what, I may not have the best relationship with my mom or my dad. It has its flaws, but you know what, I care about them and I love them. This is the sort of new moon that is looking at these themes, bringing up these themes. It's her giving energy. It's accommodating energy. It's hospitality, hospitable energy. So with Vesta retrograde, reassessing family matters, reassessing family protection, reassessing emotional health. And this isn't just about, you thinking about the emotional health of your family, but your own emotional health, your own emotional body. Support dedication as well coming up here. So I think in this respect, if we were to consider how this new moon is the dispositor of Vesta retrograde, okay, Vesta retrogrades in Cancer, the moon is the ruler of Cancer, the new moon is happening in Scorpio, we're to consider how the dispositor of the new moon so if we were to consider how the new moon is the dispositor, of Vesta retrograde, I think that this is really where it's at here with these aspects. There's something quite special and there's something quite significant about these aspects to really reflect upon, your sense of like security and protection and safety. And again, going back to the people in your life that you support and how you can extend your support to your loved ones, how you can extend that caregiving energy outwards. And perhaps as well with the fact that it's, a new moon in Scorpio, there is great depth here. So I think that this can be like a sort of, perhaps it can create more of an ease essentially during this new moon when we lean into this energy. All right, so that is all of the aspects. We're going to get into the horoscopes now. Tea time. And I'm just going to read through some of your comments. You're unable to decide because you're in freeze mode. Yeah, do you know what? That's actually a good point. Yeah. Yeah, it can be like a freeze response, often. And there's times in life whenever we can't decide because we're just frozen in that moment, or it's hard for us to sort of decide. Maybe there's even too many options. Again, it's not black and white, of course. This Tracy, you say you've got a really hard chart. Most of your planets are in Pisces. Oh, and also in the 8th house. A lot of 8th house energy for you. Lucid living movement. Hi, welcome to you. Hope you're doing well. You said you've got a Leo rising and you woke up to your mailbox broken into. Oh my gosh, really? That's terrible. I hope nothing was like taken from you. That doing with your family, we need to make amends with your brother. Oh, you can see where you went wrong too. Eddie, you say you have Saturn in Pisces. Okay, so you're going through your Saturn return right now. Hi, Brianna. How are you doing? Welcome. Okay, so, right, we're going to get into your horoscopes here and give me some time at the end. Could be tomorrow, possibly. I did that last time to put the timestamps here. But yes, let's get into your horoscopes. All right, so we have here Aries. Aries, this new moon in Scorpio will happen in your 8th house. So, what we're looking at here for you, Aries, is you gaining a fresh perspective about matters pertaining to any investments you have, any debt that you're paying off, any loans that you are paying off there, or any loans that you would wish to take out. Looking here at other people's resources there, considering as well um, any sort of emotional support that you seek from an intimate partner. So, setting new intentions here to do with that, like emotional support and belonging, and even looking at safety and feeling secure within your intimate relationships. I think a lot of this stuff is coming up for you. And then I would also say, with Mars being in your 8th house, there is this driving forward energy, this motivational energy to do with perhaps truly like getting a loan of some kind, or possibly looking here at sharing with someone else, thinking even about your significant other. Like, there are motivations here to do with sharing with your partner, even like opening up a bank account in both of your names, like as a shared account, or even looking here at the motivations and drive that goes into any research you're doing, any investigations that you're doing, occult like practices and studies. These types of things are very much on your mind, Aries. Now, of course, Mars will be combust, so I would say that tensions may be running quite high here when it comes to these areas as well, which I just want to make you aware of. Um, feeling quite irritable perhaps when it comes to intimacy, closeness, vulnerability, emotional bonds, these types of areas, there can be frustrations. Now, Uranus will also be retrograde opposite in your 2nd house. So I think that this opposition, well, I think this could even look at some breakthroughs that are made, which can perhaps influence these 8th house matters. Okay, so breakthroughs to do with your personal finances, breakthroughs to do with your own sort of spending habits, right? It could be that there's something different. There's like a change, right? A real significant change coming up, where perhaps you didn't realize before. It's like, oh well, I never thought of that before when it comes to my own resources and my own security. And maybe that can, as I say, that can in a way be linked to the shared resource stuff, and linked to your partner's resources, or linked to um, your own vulnerability and the transformations that you've been going through with respect to your emotions there. And the last thing I want to say for this is, when we look to Venus, okay, so Venus is the dispositor of Uranus. Venus is in Libra. So I think that Venus and Libra energy as well, during the new moon being in your 7th house, Aries. Yeah, I think that these breakthroughs that are coming up when it comes to the 8th house and the 2nd house, I think they're also going to be in a way linked to the likes of commitment, marriage, attitudes toward togetherness, or that closeness, the one-on-one bond there. Um, Even looking here at how they're linked to your clients' relationships, customers. Also considering as well attraction. Okay, so there's just something here about how your relationships are, they're coming up in terms of your own sort of values, and how such values are linked to those second, eighth house areas. And then I'll even say Venus sextile Mercury, right? So there's Venus sextile Mercury in the ninth. I think this could even look at like you and your significant other asking the bigger questions or making the bigger decisions. But I'll also want to say with this, be cautious of like overdoing it. The thing about Mercury in Sagittarius is that it's in detriment, right? And that can often look like being so idealistic or being so sort of caught up in a future vision, but then overlooking the details. Venus and Libra can also be like this, quite idealistic. So I would say during this new moon, like, yes, set those intentions, okay, to do going back to the eighth house to do with like shared resource stuff, but just at the same time, check over the facts, check over the details, and continue to question, continue to do your research and explore. Okay, so that's Aries. Hi, Danielle. Welcome. How are you? Uh, yeah, you're right on time for horoscopes. It's right on your rising sign. Okay, so Taurus. Taurus, during this new moon in Scorpio, so it's going to be happening in your seventh house. So you're going to be setting new intentions actually to do with any like power dynamics within relationships, setting new intentions to do with that like attraction, you know, being magnetic, looking at even, you know, those sexual urges or that sexual allure. These types of things I think are going to be coming up for you. Um, and then also looking here at planting new seeds to do with um how you wish to grow on a more like relationship level where there is intimacy, where there is like an emotional connection, or where you feel like you can relate more deeply, more closely. And then I also think as well, like reflecting upon vulnerability from you toward your partners, but also that vulnerability um coming from others. And then as well, I would say planting new seeds to do with client relationships and customers, especially in terms of like a business way, perhaps even looking at the shared resources or sorry, the resources of a client or of a customer, this type of stuff. These things may come up for you. And then at the same time, Mars will be in the seventh house, right? So that Mars energy, it's looking at your motivations to do with business or to do with collaborations, your motivations and your drive and your will regarding how you can collaborate and how you can get along with others or agree with others, even looking here at anything that you dislike about the way someone acts, the way they do things. You may feel a little bit like aggravated or irritated, I would say, during this new moon, especially because Mars is going to be combust. So there could be some tensions coming up here for you, Taurus. Some tensions and frustrations to face. With someone else or regarding another person. So there's that. And I would also say as well with this, some legal matters coming to the surface, perhaps for you, Taurus. So yeah, that Mars combustion could look at these irritations. Now, Uranus retrograde will also be opposite in your first house, Taurus. So I would even say here that this is a new moon that's going to get you facing yourself. The thing about the seventh house is that it often looks at our shadow side or the shadow self. I think that there's a common sort of misconception about the shadow, and then it's always like negative stuff, you know. It's always like those ugly negative things. But often the shadow, at least my interpretation of this, is that the shadow can also be comprised of things that we hide, even though those things you, Taurus, you're going to be facing your shows off your personal power, right? Your ability to like assert yourself, your ability to stand up for yourself, your ability to be independent, right? With Mars there as well. So I think there's going to be these breakthroughs coming up, Taurus, right? You know, breaking away from a relationship, for example, um, breaking away from an old thought pattern or from an old way of doing things. Um, or possibly even sort of integrating greater like independence, integrating more of an oomph to you, or you know what I would say, embracing more so of like embracing the qualities about yourself that are unique and different and feeling like somewhat motivated and driven by them. So yeah, this could be a new moon where there's just a lot of like major um physical change breakthroughs, but coming from, it's almost like they're going to be reflected back to you through other people. But not just physical change breakthroughs. This is also about like how it is that you move through the world. And the other thing I want to say is Venus. So Venus, of course, is your chart ruler, Taurus. Venus is going to be in Libra in the 6th house for you. So this adds to the story, and perhaps you know what, this back and forth stuff that we're talking about between the 7th house and the 1st house, I think it's also tied in with coworker relationships. Okay, so even any employees that you've hired, I think also your health is going to come into this, especially with respect to greater balance, right? I mean, these are themes that have been coming up for you quite a bit, Taurus, over the past while with all this Libra energy, even through Libra season. But yes, I think this is looking here at how you can create greater harmony and ease for yourself within the working space. And possibly as well, looking here at your own routines and schedules and how you can manage those in a more sort of effective, balanced way. And perhaps even making more time for your creative pursuits, right? And more time for enjoyment, more time for beauty and art. Yeah. And then the last thing I want to say is Venus will sextile Mercury. So Mercury is there in your 8th house. So maybe for you, Taurus, there's something here about the bigger picture questions to do with taboo like subjects or to do with hidden information or private information. Okay, you know, this could be a situation where there's something quite secretive about a coworker, or there's something quite shady about business partners, or quite shady about the working environment that you're in. And there's this whole thing of like um, needing the truth or needing the information, or possibly gaining further understanding about your own unconscious motivations and drives, right? And how by bringing such things to light can even help you get further, can help with your development. And of course it can be like this transformational moment to do with the bigger picture then. But then I also want to say with this, Mercury is in detriment in Sagittarius. So what I'm going to say with this is what's coming to my mind, Taurus, is um be cautious of like trying to snoop around for things, if you know what I mean. Okay. Be cautious of that, or trying to find fault when there is none, you know? Make sure make sure that you have all of your facts right, okay? Make sure you have all of your ducks in a row. Things are accurate before like you assume, or you know, maybe you call someone out or you report someone. This is what I'm getting from this energy. Oh my gosh, I did not expect to go there. I didn't. Taurus, that's you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Taurus. I'm not laughing at you. I'm really not laughing at you. I just did not expect it to go there. I didn't. And then and then I read in and Danielle, you have a Taurus rising. You said this is definitely resonating with you. The shady coworker. And then Alicia said, yes, keep the snooping to a minimum. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm really crying because I just did not expect. Oh gosh. Oh my. Okay. Okay. Time to get serious again. Oh, this is the thing about lives, isn't it? This is the thing about lives. You just there's no going back. Alicia, you say you have a Taurus moon. And Danielle, you say you're correct. Okay, interesting. Very interesting. Right. Let's move on to Gemini. Okay, so Gemini. This new moon is going to take place in your 6th house, Gemini. Okay, so we're seeing here how you're going to be setting new intentions, of course, to do with your everyday. This is the most obvious thing that jumps out at me here, Gemini, is work and possible job changes and changes to your schedules, changes to your routines. What's also coming up here are like these new perspectives to do with power like rules. And this isn't in a negative way or in a bad way. This is also looking here at gaining some type of authority or power within your role and possibly going through like what feels like a new transformation to do with work. And the thing, of course, about the new moon is that this is about intention setting, right? It's not like we're going to get to the new moon and all of a sudden you're going to change jobs. This is, I think, more so about the intentions that you're going to set. And over the next couple of years, you're going to be on this new trajectory. Okay. So again, going back to work. But then the other thing is setting new intentions to do with like where you belong in this way, where you feel good, where you feel content, where you feel more in control of your life. I think the thing about you, Gemini, is that you can go to these extremes quite a bit when it comes to your everyday, when it comes to work, when it comes to your health as well. There can be this extreme quality. Trying to find the gray or trying to be more balanced is quite the challenge. So this is a new moon where you're going to be re-exploring these matters and also looking here at your own safety and security and protection when it comes to these matters too. Now, Mars is also going to be there. So there is, I think, for many Gemini, this sense of urgency, this sense of determination, where it's like, I am going to persist here. This is not the sort of area that I want to be in. I want to be at this level. I want to be at this standard. I want to go this far. So, Mars is this energy that says, okay, drive forward, focus, push, keep going. You've got this. Perhaps moving underneath the radar, underneath the surface, hypothetically speaking, and not really giving too much away and just being safe about the moves that you're making behind the scenes, being smart. Of course, it's you, Gemini. You're smart. Really smart. You're witty. You're on the ball a lot of the times. Okay. But the thing is that Mars is combust during the new moon. So this Mars combustion, I think it's actually looking at like the part of you that's just waiting to in a way burst out, or like to break away from maybe like a coworker situation or like a routine situation, and maybe there are some irritations that you feel during the new moon, but just give it time, right? Just be cautious of those irritations as well, because I suppose the thing about this too is there can be that compulsive side to Scorpio energy, like I was trying to say, where you may sort of act out in a certain way or be compulsive, and then it's like, oh crap, where did that come from? The thing about Scorpio too, I suppose, is it can even look at like whenever we tear things down, it can look at self-sabotage. We can sabotage ourselves. So I would even just say this for everyone: be cautious of this energy during this new moon. Okay, the whole self-sabotage, like, oh, I really, really want to say this thing to that person. And it's like, is that coming from a place of self-sabotage, maybe? Is that possible? What I'm getting from this especially then is like just to be aware of that physical energy part of it with Mars. Okay, the action part of it. The tendency to act on something and then it's like, "Oh, well, it's done." You know? So, yeah, that Mars combustion, just be cautious then for you, Gemini. And then Uranus will be retrograde opposite in the 12th house for you, Gemini. So I would even say with this that around this new moon, it's going to look at these major spiritual breakthroughs. I would even say that your dreams are going to have a lot to tell you. Gemini, I would not be surprised if you have like the weirdest of dreams around this new moon. The night before, the night off, just weird, crazy dreams, just the most unusual characters popping up. But oh my goodness, all of the symbolism that's going to come up for you, you can explore those. You can read into those. Maybe you have like this curiosity about your dreams at times, Gemini. Or, you know what, it could even look at like these cosmic downloads, if you will, that come to you. I think, Gemini, Uranus in your 12th house over the past few years has been great for like these hits of inspiration, right? It's like, wow, oh my gosh, I got this burst of energy, and my imagination is on fire right now, and I'm visualizing all these things, and it's remarkable. Like, and maybe you have that, of course, you're Gemini. So perhaps you have this thing where you wanted to share it all with the world. So anyway, all this is to say the opposition here, it can look at like these um, major imagination breakthroughs, or even like these certain signals and messages that come through and you feel so inspired. But then I also think at the same time, with Venus being in Libra, okay, so Venus is the dispositor of Uranus, that's in the 5th house. Oh my goodness, what a creative time. Okay, we're talking here about these bursts of like inspiration and these sparks. But Venus in your 5th house can even look at creativity, pleasure. Maybe there's something here about your free time and wanting to really make that more of a priority in your life, and how your intentions during the new moon are going to be tied to your free time. They're going to be tied to like creating greater balance within your life regarding fun and play and pleasure and leisure and all these types of things. And then, of course, Venus will also sextile Mercury. So I would say conversations with possibly your significant other about these free time matters that we explored. Okay. I would say possibly having more of a one-to-one with a client or a customer about their future, and maybe their future within the business or within the collaboration. This type of stuff is going to come up for you, and how it is that you wish to even grow on a more like spiritual level, or um in this way where it's more about the vision. It's more about, okay, where do we see ourselves in such and such. It just there's just something about being a visionary coming up here, and having those conversations, making those decisions with your significant other, with a business partner, with even like a close friend, asking those bigger questions. And at the same time, Mercury is in detriment in Sagittarius. So, what I'm going to say with this is don't believe everything you hear. I would even suggest here, if anyone tries to set like a plan in motion or go into business with you, get it in writing. Okay, get it in writing. And like I said, new moons are more so about the intention setting part, like the beginning stages part. And I think that a lot of this new moon for you has to do with your work and your services. But that Mercury energy in the seventh is also saying, okay, there's big ideas, there's enthusiasm, there's growth, there's, oh my gosh, the vision, wow. But just try not get too far ahead of things. And maybe you're not like that anyway, you know? Of course, you are Gemini, like the opposite of Mercury in Sagittarius. So perhaps you are the type of person where you're like, okay, well, I need to look over the details first, you know? So, but I just wanted to still bring that up. Time. Thank you so much. That's so kind of you. Thank you. Thank you kindly. I really appreciate it. Okay. Let's move on to Cancer. So Cancer, this new moon in Scorpio is going to happen in your 5th house. So during this new moon, there's a lot of intention setting to do with, okay, children, right? Possibly it could be that there's just something about the future regarding children. Do you want children? What about the children that you already have? You know, would you like to have more children? Do you spend much time with your children? Are there any changes you want to make there? How close do you feel to them? How do you connect with them? How do you relate with them? These types of questions I think are coming up. And I think even there's a great deal of like focus and maturity possibly as well to do with these children matters. But if we even look at the inner child, if we focus here even on how Scorpio can look at any sort of blocked emotions, repressed emotions, maybe this is also pointing toward you exploring your own inner child and those new intentions coming up. Okay, fresh perspectives regarding your inner child. Perhaps Cancer, you know, you have changed a lot, you know, when it comes to your inner child over the past few years with these eclipses happening in your 5th house. But this is then this starting over part of it. This is also adding to it, or a fresh perspective to the lessons that came up. And planting new seeds then to do with your creativity. This is a highly creative sign for many Cancers. Thinking here about the amount of time that you put into your creative projects, any creative projects that you're working on, and anything that you want to sort of get better at, improve at, focusing more so on your hobbies and looking here at the drive and the will that goes into your hobbies. There is, I think, for a lot of Cancerians, such a focus, such a drive, such a determination when it comes to your leisure activities, your hobbies, your interests, your passions, these types of things. There's a lot of force that goes into these areas for you. And then you also experience like these phenomenal like transformations as well. So I would say during this new moon, it's time to set new intentions. But then the other thing, of course, is Mars will be there. So there is this driving forward factor coming in. There is this motivational factor. Maybe for a lot of Cancerians, you have a goal in mind, right? You have a goal in mind about your creativity, again, going back to children, possibly, and you're going to get this boost of energy where you're thinking, right, okay, it's time to make things happen, okay? Now, at the same time, Mars will be combust. Okay, so with the Mars combustion, Well, I'm also going to be honest with you here, Cancer. Perhaps it's that there will be irritations and tensions and frustrations regarding children too. Okay, so for example, maybe disagreeing with your partner about children. Or for example, um, looking here at how it is that you parent. If it is that you are co-parent with someone else, maybe some issues there coming up, Cancer. And it could also be here some frustrations over your free time, about your free time, where maybe you feel like you don't have enough of it, or maybe you feel like you don't have enough time to put your own sort of individuality first. Or there could be some issues regarding self-expression and your individuality in this way, right? Feeling like you're limited, feeling like you're being controlled, or feeling like other people are like forcing their own sort of will on you, and you're like pushing back against that. This type of energy is coming into this Cancer. Now, Uranus retrograde will also be opposite in the 11th house. So I think Uranus retrograde here in the 11th house for you it's ushering in how the new moon in Scorpio is also going to come in, or it's going to play a role in how these breakthroughs happen. These breakthroughs happen regarding your hopes and wishes for the future. Perhaps this is looking at a whole new path being laid out for you, right? This just something that you never thought possible, so a dream, a hope, a wish, something just you never thought possible, changing. And of course, it could be for better or for worse. Maybe it even depends on your own chart in this way, Cancer. But there just seems to be a big shift, a difference, a new vision, a new way forward. Perhaps even looking at like a whole new social circle that which could unfold over the next few years for you. Again, going back to the intentions that you set during the new moon with the 5th house there. Or perhaps even here looking at where you disagree completely over parenting, or you disagree completely over the creative process, or just feeling like you are having to like explain yourself about any significant changes that you want to make regarding communities or friends, this type of stuff, and how such matters may be quite frustrating or cause frustrations, perhaps even with romantic partners, you know? Because the 5th house also looks at romance and love. So, yeah, there could be the whole thing of the dynamics between friends and romantic partners, where there's some tension there. But again, it could be about seeking alternatives and making significant changes, or making breakthroughs, or breaking away possibly from something that's very like forceful, right? I would even say just to be cautious of any Cancerians who are maybe in like romantic relationships where it feels like you're being, really how do you say, trapped. So it's almost like you're being trapped in, and you don't really feel like you have much control over the situation. Just yeah, if you're that type of Cancerian, I think that this is going to be a new moon that's I think it's going to look at like a triggering point, or breaking away of sorts. And then with Venus also being in Libra, um, I think Venus being in Libra can also suggest here that there's more of a willingness to stay at home, to perhaps be with family, to create greater balance and harmony there with family, and maybe even solving some issues or solving any problems with certain family members, perhaps because of truth telling, or because of honesty there, fairness as well. So if there are any like confrontations coming up around the new moon, um, this is a good opportunity also to perhaps sit down with your partner, with your family, and to have those like discussions, to be able to discuss things in a way where it's about trying to like come closer together. And you know what? This could even be where some of you just want to spend more time basically creating, right? Working on your craft, just doing the things that you enjoy, doing the things that you love. There's just something homey about this new moon. And Cancer, perhaps you love that, right? Because Venus in your fourth house, it's saying, yeah, spend some time at home with your comforts, being surrounded by your loved ones, your nearest and dearest. This is also a potentiality for you, Cancer. And then even Venus sextile Mercury. So Mercury's in the sixth house. So I think this also looks at conversations regarding any contracts and agreements at work, or conversations regarding travel, like traveling for work, right? So for example, maybe it is that work over the next while is going to ask more time from you, or they're going to ask for some time for you to travel, right? So travel could come up, or something to do with relocating, or even further training could come up, right? A sort of training program, something like this. And then you'll have to have those conversations with your family or with your partner about it. And to be able to kind of come to a negotiation or some sort of compromise, or just to be mature about the discussion. Um, yeah, this is what I'm getting. And perhaps as well, because it is a sextile, there's something here about feeling quite supported in your decisions, or feeling quite supported about work matters, or even about health related matters as well. This could even be where you're having to have discussions about health too. Um, and even possibly discussions to do with like legal home situations as well. But the thing I want to say with this, Cancer, just to finish off, is Mercury is in detriment here in Sagittarius. So when it comes to the whole working side of things, for example, traveling for work, or for example, further training, like taking on a new training program, this type of stuff, make sure that you have all the facts. Make sure that you have all of the details laid out. Okay. And make sure you're being compensated enough too, I would say, right? That you're getting paid what you're supposed to be paid, Cancer. If certain employers are expecting more from you. Hi, David. How are you? Yes, happy Scorpio season. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, 100 plus posts on Patreon. Yep, going strong. I hope you're doing good. And and I hope you and Nicola had the best Halloween. Hope you had a lovely Halloween. And hello to Mark. Thank you for watching. And Tim, thank you as well for watching. And yes, time. Cancerian energy is so homey. So homey. Okay, let's move on to Leo. Okay, so Leo, this new moon is going to happen in your fourth house. All right, so we're noticing here, Leo, I would say, even with the eclipses happening in your fourth and 10th houses over the past few years, especially focusing on the fourth, because we're talking about the fourth. Oh my gosh, a lot of you have reinvented yourselves emotionally. I think there's just been so much resilience on your part, and even just proving to your family, or proving your loved ones, that proving to them that you are like such a strong individual, or even having to be strong for family members here. But there's just been a lot of like emotional and spiritual growth for many Leos. And so this new moon in Scorpio is going to invite a fresh perspective, right? Setting new intentions to do with this emotional resilience of yours, and even looking here at your own emotional security, your emotional foundation, and the strength there. So yeah, setting new intentions, and possibly I would say, Leo, this could be a new moon where you're planting new seeds to do with, so possibly looking here at a loan. Okay, so a loan to help you with a housing situation. Okay, so the fourth house of home, your living situation, Scorpio energy, shared resources, loans, this type of stuff. Or this could be where there's this thing of planting new seeds to do with paying off taxes, um, and how such things can help you with your living situation, or just paying off money on a house, or even paying back certain family members who lent you money. This type of stuff could come up. But again, this is also looking at like setting new intentions. And I think that perhaps over the next few years, things are going to become more clear, right? So you could be building up towards something basically. And the other thing I want to say with this, Leo, is Mars. So Mars is there in the fourth house. So if we think here about how Mars can look at goal setting, drive, how we pursue, there's such a determination from so many Leos right now who are persistent about housing, their living situation, about improving emotionally, supporting themselves, supporting other people emotionally as well, looking at their own self-care, their ability to care for themselves. Um, and as well, I would say just the ability of like how much you get done. The determination around your house. And just it's almost like you're so focused, like you're so focused on your goals, you're so focused on your priorities and just getting it done. It's this type of energy that I'm getting. And I also think that this is looking at some type of privacy. Okay, keeping yourself quite private, keeping yourself to yourself for a little bit, Leo. That's the thing about Mars and Scorpio, right? That we've been talking about. Now, Mars will also be combust during this new moon. So the combustion of Mars can also, okay, just to be honest, it can look at some frustrations, okay, especially with family members, patience wearing thin. Leo, you usually have a lot of patience, but you don't have patience for people who are just outright cruel, rude, people who are like venomous, they like, those type of like really cruel, vicious, poisonous people, any like emotionally manipulative people, this type of stuff. Oh my gosh, Leo, you see right through that. So I think that Mars combustion is like, if you can sense that coming from anyone, it could even be where you have felt these types of things recently and you're just you're going to reach a breaking point, okay? Maybe a few people who are very close to you, it doesn't make them bad people, but I'm not saying it makes them bad people, but maybe a few people close to you need to hear you roar. Okay. However, what I will also say is, if we think about the self, be cautious of self-sabotage, right? This could be another thing. It could be that you're struggling more on an emotional level, right? And maybe the first thing that you do is redirect all of that tension inward, okay? And you start punishing yourself. So I would say to be cautious of these matters. Again, self-sabotage. Now, Uranus is also retrograde opposite in the 10th house. So that opposition to all the Scorpio energy, I think this this new moon is going to bring up like any new sort of major inventions, any major like breakthroughs, innovation, to do with work, right? To do with, well, not just work, but like your career, right? Or your public image, or how it is that you present yourself on a public forum. These types of things I think are going to be quite big. And I also think that this is about you having greater like value, like knowing what it is that you value and knowing your worth in this respect. But there still seems to be a significant change, right? Like a difference, a renewal, how it is that you have evolved, how it is that you have advanced when it comes to your long-term goals, when it comes to your reputation, etc. And perhaps even as well, looking here at some non-conformity, maybe many Leos. Okay, so like I said with the new moon, it's more about intention setting, but maybe many Leos over the next few years, it's almost as if, so what I'm getting is, it's almost as if the the person that you're known as, right? The person that you're known for being is going to change so much over the next few years. Um, it's almost like your whole style, your whole look, uh, your creative edge, your vision, that all these things are going to change. And your uniqueness is just going to shine more and more and more within a public forum. If you're a part of some sort of public forum, you're thinking about social media, for example, looking at a business that you've started or a business that you're a part of, how it is that you can reinvent yourself within your own sort of company or organization or whatever firm you're a part of, this type of stuff. Now, Venus will also be in Libra in the third house. So perhaps there's also something about this new moon highlighting the ways in which you communicate with such elegance and poise. And perhaps this even looks at speaking with the right types of people to to sort of assist you with your own growth. And I'm not trying to say where um this is an intentional thing, where it's like, oh, I'll speak to this person just because I want to level up. No, what I'm saying is this can be quite a beneficial thing for you, where you're meeting the right types of people, right? You're within those sort of networks, those social circles where there seems to be more chat about opportunities. And I think it's your it's the way it is that you speak, it's the way it is that you get along so well with others that shines through. I mean, Leo energy is amazing at communicating. This the social skills of Leos is, I think, is so great. Especially with that Libra energy in the third. There's just something likable about Leos, isn't there? Something so likable. And there's something so warm. But anyway, using your voice can very well be like an attractive thing, basically, and can perhaps even help you with earning money, possibly. Yeah, even think about singing, for example, right? That Venus in the third, like singing, writing, making money from using your voice, making money from writing, making money from transiting, um, making money even from how it is that you design, dress, looking at your artwork, beauty, these types of things. Okay, so Venus will also sextile Mercury. Okay, so this is exciting because this further looks at the creative feel, right? This looks at the creative stuff. So I think that with Mercury in the fifth, this can look at um just this playfulness, this entertainment, this fun side coming up. I mean, with Sagittarius in the fifth house, Leo, uh, I just think that this adds to your enthusiasm, your aliveness, your vitality, these types of things, these things that really shine through. And, and so with the sextile to Venus, it just seems like this is a new moon where perhaps communication is going to feel quite pleasant, and there's so much about like enjoyment and entertaining yourself and pleasure, and even just considering how it is that you can further your understanding about a creative matter, and maybe that can even assist you further. Maybe this even looks at like, okay, this the third house energy, what you're learning, but then Mercury adds like a flavor of enthusiasm and passion, and even like it may lead to you having this idealistic view of like, I can follow my dreams. I do have what it takes. This, to me, it's like a major confidence boost almost, Leo. Now, of course, Mercury is in detriment here in Sagittarius. So I would just say, as I've been saying with everyone, try not to overlook the details, Leo. Okay. There's the whole thing where you can get swept away by an opportunity, possibly with this. So try and like, tame your wildfires, so to speak, and try and think things through as well, rather than just going with, oh, this is the first kind of like big thing. Just try and bring it back and really make sure that you have all the facts. David, you said you are good. You have some cake with your sister from your sister's birthday. Oh, happy birthday to your sister. Yeah, you said she's Scorpio. Good. You just had a spectacular Halloween. Good. I'm glad. Ralph Rossios. Is that you, Nicola? Love it. That's good. Love it. Okay. I'm glad. No, I'm glad that you had a great Halloween. Triple Emers. Hi. Hello. Welcome. I hope you're doing good. Okay, let's move on to Virgo. I'm going to try and go a little bit quicker. My goodness, I've been going on for quite a while. I've just so much to say about these signs today. Okay, Virgo, let's talk about you. So, Virgo, this new moon is going to happen in your second house. So, there seems to be, sorry, your third. My apologies. My apologies. It's going to happen in your third house. So, there seems to be this fresh perspective actually about, well, the obvious, how you communicate. So, considering how much you have evolved, how much you've transformed over the past few years when it comes to communication, there's like a daring riskiness here, like a boldness, having the audacity to put yourself out there or to push forward with something, with Mars there as well. But yeah, you've transformed a lot over the past few years. And I think that a lot of it has to do with your mindset, how it is that you look after your mental health, how it is that you speak to yourself as well, looking at your inner dialogue or your inner monologue. If it is that you have one. I mean, I've read that some people don't even have an inner monologue, and I'm like, what? You don't? Can I have that, please? Sorry. I don't want an inner monologue. Anyway, but yes, there's been a lot, I think, that's unfolded for you, and I think it's a lot to do with like psychological stuff, and also I would say there's a lot coming up to do with the research that you've been doing, and the investigations, and the information that you've been really, really looking into. A lot of Virgos, you leave no stone unturned when it comes to subjects that you are wildly, wildly, passionately interested in. So a lot has come up for you then within these areas. And I also think there's been something here about transforming with respect to your fears, right? Even I would say like fears within conversations, right? Vulnerability, right? Vulnerability. I have a Virgo rising, and oh my gosh, I relate to this so much because I have a lot of fears about communication. I have a Gemini midheaven. On the midheaven, it looks at our public image. The midheaven is very much tied to what I'm doing right now, right? So your social media page, that's midheaven territory. And with Gemini there, I come on and I communicate and I talk, 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 talk. This it may seem like I'm not shy, but I really am shy. In real life, I'm super shy, right? So I have a lot of fears. I have been working through a lot of fears to do with communication and to do with using my voice, even on a day-to-day level. Even simple things like how are you? The small talk stuff. Even over that, I get so nervous and worried and I freak out. So basically, all of this is to say that Virgos, not that all of you Virgos struggle with like everyday sort of small talk interactions, but what I'm getting at is I think that this is a new moon that's going to point toward any fears regarding interactions, any fears regarding the everyday discussions, general discussions, this type of stuff, and having a fresh perspective, right? Like I said, having a fresh perspective, the start of a new cycle for you. And of course, Mars is also there in the third house. So, Mars here, I think, is looking at just this desire to want to drive forward when it comes to learning, when it comes to educating yourself about everyday matters. You know, the thing I think is important when it comes to learning any subject is also being able to explore other subjects to assist it, to support it. And what I'm trying to get at is, for example, yes, I study astrology, but I also enjoy learning about music, learning about art, learning about films, different directors, singers, basically being able to dabble into different areas. And I think that this is very much a Virgo thing, the ability to sort of dabble in and out of different areas and how that can strengthen your own learning, your own research and studying in this way. So Mars there, I think, can look at that motivation and that drive. Now, at the same time, I think this can also look at possible self-sabotage coming up here with the Mars combustion. Okay, irritations, tensions. I've certainly felt this the past while. Just feeling almost feeling like I'm in this weird place of I'm still doing what I normally do, but it doesn't feel the same right now. It just doesn't feel the same. I don't know why. I don't know why. But perhaps the Mars combustion can just look at some irritations, right? And perhaps this is even looking at here, Virgo, at resting the mind for a bit. Resting your mind, trying to take some time just to like not be so consumed by information. I even know myself that when it comes to like my fixations, which Virgos, you can fixate quite a bit actually, and there can be compulsions when it comes to thoughts. This is what we get from Virgo energy. It's the looping, it's the fixating on things, it's the reading too much into things, this type of stuff. So yeah, I think that this could be an opportunity for you to recognize, "Oh, maybe I need to step back from that, the fixating." Because the Mars combustion, I think, is going to make this very intense, like too intense almost. So just be cautious of this stuff, Virgo. And then also Uranus retrograde opposite, which is in the ninth house. So um, I would say here, yeah, this further adds to what I'm trying to say, especially when we think here about the ninth house through a lens of knowledge, like even watching the news, watching certain forms of media, broadcasting, this type of stuff, even and certain publications that you're reading. So perhaps in this respect, it's looking here at certain breakthroughs, right? So being able to make certain breakthroughs, perhaps more so as a way to support your own sort of mental well-being, and also breaking away from any patterns, mental patterns that are too consuming. And perhaps as well, this looks at any further training that you wish to do and really asking yourself, can you take on more, right? Maybe Jupiter even plays a role in this too. Jupiter we haven't really touched on throughout these horoscopes, but perhaps when we look at this, it's good to consider here, Virgo, how much are you taking on? Maybe there's just a lot on your plate right now and you're just trying to get through it all. And maybe the new moon is going to look at, okay, set new intentions to do with this stuff. And maybe in this way, this is also going to look at how you can change things or like get rid of stuff, right? That Scorpio energy can even look at a release or a shedding, like to sort of go, right, I'm breaking free from this. I'm starting over, right? Starting over when it comes to training, starting over when it comes to knowledge, I'm starting over when it comes to certain worldviews that I have, beliefs that I have about myself, about the world around me, this type of energy. So yes, breaking away, seeking alternatives, perhaps as well questioning a great deal. And the other thing is Venus will be in Libra in the second house. So I can't help but think that the third house, ninth house stuff that we've mentioned, it's somehow linked to your own personal income and how it is that you are seeking some type of equilibrium or like a balance when it comes to your income and your earnings. Is it that you find yourself continuously pushing and working and asserting yourself because there's something not quite balanced about your financial position right now, Virgo? Or is it that you're having to kind of push through during a certain just stage of your life? Of course, this energy is not going to be forever, it could just be for a little while, but you're just trying to push through because what you're ultimately trying to gain is you're trying to gain greater like recognition, or you're trying to gain some type of feedback from other people and perhaps more money or a better income for yourself, or an income that can sustain you in a more beneficial way. Or maybe this is even looking here at reminding yourself of your worth, right? um how much, for example, are you giving away to other people without expecting anything in return? But sure, yes, that can be helpful and kind and everything, but when is it that you put yourself into a challenging situation because of these things too? When do you put yourself last, basically, I think is coming up here, Virgo. And yeah, I think Venus and Libra can point toward this, but it can also look at how much you're reminded of your gifts, right? Your gifts to do with collaboration, your gifts to do with your creativity and your art. And lastly, let's look here at Venus sextile Mercury. So Mercury will actually be in the fourth house. So I think there's going to be conversations here with your family about your finances, about your financial position, Virgo. Maybe this even looks at you making bigger decisions about your living situation, about where you see yourself living in the next few years. Okay, going back to how this is a new moon of intention setting, but things will unfold more and more as the years go on. But yeah, there's something here about having those discussions with your partner or with your family about where you seek to live later, where you wish to relocate to. Possibly even looking here at like a travel opportunity for work. Okay, maybe some Virgos over the next while, you're going to be working abroad for a little while, but it's having that discussion with someone like a partner, for example, or with your parent about that. Okay, and the last thing I want to say with this is Mercury, of course, is in detriment. So with this one, again, just make sure that you have all of the details and all of the information. Really, Mercury in Sagittarius can sometimes look at communicating dreams and opportunities that cannot be fulfilled practically or realistically. Um, and then the whole thing of overlooking the details. So yeah, just be cautious of these things, especially if it is that such matters can influence your money. Whew, okay, so we're moving on to Libra. Right, I'm doing a stretch. Oh, I'm starting to get tired. Let's read. I'm enjoying these actually. I like the layout this time. Time, you say Virgo rising, so much have your power. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Oh, so time, are you saying that you have a Virgo rising? I can't remember what your rising sign is if you shared that before. Shy people are the future. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being shy. I know. I know. It's more for me, it's more of the annoyance that I feel after, where I start to worry and stress out about the interaction afterwards. And then I beat myself up, and it sucks. Triple Emer. Oh yeah, definitely join Patreon. There's so many posts. There's daily forecasts. I love the daily forecasts. I'm just gonna say this. I feel like I feel like I can articulate myself so much better writing. I feel like whenever I speak, it just sounds. But when I write, I feel more. I feel more alive. Yeah, it feels good. It feels like it makes more sense. David, you said you have 2 minute inner monologues going on at the same time. No, said the Gemini moon. And the Pisces. I'm just kidding, but yeah. The inner monologue. Oh, thank you, Alexander. Yes. Uh, Layla. Hi, Layla. Welcome. You say you understand. You feel like you can express. Yeah, better when you write. So you're the same. And I say hi. You said love this order. Virgo Sun, Libra Rising. Well, you got Virgo out of the way. Whoa. Yes, have a great Sunday, I say. Have a great Sunday, everyone. Right. So, Tracy, you also said you study astrology, but you learn more spiritual subjects too. Oh, interesting. Yeah, it's good to learn other subjects alongside astrology, isn't it? Right. So, let's get into this. Let's get into Libra. Hi, 87 Sparker. Welcome. And thank you again, Alexander. I'm like, come on, Hannah. Come on. Do this. Layla, you said you've subscribed for a long time ago. You subscribed a long time ago and you missed. Well, do you know what? I'm so glad that you caught alive. Great. Great. It's great to have you here. All right. So let's get into Libra. So, Libra. Sorry. This way. Libra? Why do we say Libra when that is so true actually? Like it's Libra? Libra? I don't know. It's my funny half hour, right? I'm gonna be serious again. Okay. Libra. So, this new moon in Scorpio is going to happen in your second house. So, you are going to be setting new intentions, okay, to do with your personal finances, right? Your money, your resources. Of course, there's going to be you have experienced many changes and transformations over the past few years. And here as well at your values, thinking also here about your self-worth. I mean, many Libras have went through well, you're going through still, what feels like major self-worth shifts, where especially with the South Node in the first house, a lot of you are not holding back, right? A lot of you are not holding back, and you are more so putting yourself first, like standing up for yourself or making changes about your identity and your own life path. Of course, with the North Node being in Aries there as well, there's just a lot of Libras who are, I think, um, being somewhat more assertive about what they want when it comes to others within relationships. Even thinking about like clients, customers, collaborations, negotiations, these types of areas, okay? So yeah, a lot of you have been like evolving, really transforming when it comes to your worth. Of course, the second house is a house of value and worth. And then, so yes, setting new intentions then during the new moon to do with these areas, fresh perspectives to do with these areas. But then Mars is also there in the second house. So I think Libras, you have these goals in mind, right? Goals about your survival, goals about what you wish to gain in a material sense. Thinking about your resources, your belongings, this type of stuff, just feeling motivated and even just feeling so passionate and driven. Now, whilst there is a lot of like physical energy and drive going into these areas, I think that with the Mars combustion, that Mars combustion can look at some irritations and frustrations, okay? These irritations and frustrations to do with your value and your worth. Okay, maybe it's like certain things just feel uncomfortable. And this, to me, it almost makes sense because if it is that a lot of Libras are kind of coming into themselves or evolving more, it can almost feel scary to sort of leave the old version of yourself in the past. And maybe there's a lot of mixed feelings that come up, or it can feel just uncomfortable. It can feel like, oh, I'm losing a part of myself, or who is this person? But you know what? I think what is really, just to be positive about this, is the anger piece, right? I think Libra, this is the type of the anger that perhaps has been underneath the surface. It's been boiling beneath the surface for so long, and it's almost like you're finally having this opportunity to let it out, release it, to direct it, hopefully in like a healthy way. And especially if it is that you feel, that there's tension and irritation over your security, over your physical security situation, over your financial situation. There's just something here about Libras, you wanting to tap into your own personal power and having this like will, this drive, right? And then Uranus retrograde opposite in the eighth house during the new moon also looks at how you can advance further with respect to shared resources when it even comes to like any debts that you're paying off. Maybe this is what this is looking at. It's like paying off any debts, any loans, any sort of taxes that are outstanding, anything, just paying it all off, just removing yourself from it, getting away from that stuff in a way, releasing a lot of that stuff, shedding old skin, and then in a way breaking free or making these breakthroughs or seeking alternatives. Even looking here at how the Taurus energy tied to physical security is in the eighth house. So maybe there's something that you haven't thought of yet about physical security, and how that's shared with another. Or, you know what, perhaps this is even looking at your own, well, vulnerability, major vulnerability breakthroughs for a lot of Libras, which has been happening over the past few years with Uranus transiting your eighth house. But with the new moon, it's almost like um, you're going to continue to make these vulnerability breakthroughs, but there's so much strength and power that's building right now, that's starting to emerge, right? And the sort of breakthroughs that come are going to look at these transformations to do with your uniqueness. There's just something about authenticity for Libras, I think. Like becoming, because you are transforming when it comes to your own personal power, that within itself is you exploring more of your uniqueness and being more authentic, I suppose. Um and possibly as well, there's something here about these powerful changes to do with your as I say, what should I say for this? Vulnerability, like powerful changes to do with intimacy and that emotional bond. Now, of course, Uranus can suggest a level of like detachment, okay? And maybe you've needed some type of detachment. Like this could be, for example, speaking with someone who is removed from an emotional situation, okay? Like a really intimate, private, emotional situation. Speaking to someone who's removed from that, and then because of that, like more detached viewpoint, that more neutral, objective viewpoint, that can be so rewarding and beneficial for you and your growth and your sort of own transformations. Now, Venus will also be in your sign, will be in your sign during the new moon. So, what I'll say with this, just firstly, I mean, Venus being home in your sign, Libra, I mean, this is so appealing. This is attractive energy. This is beautiful energy. This is lovely. Like it's sweet, it's lovely. It can suggest that there's so much creativity pouring out of you, or you feel more aligned with yourself creatively. And you know what I'd even say with this is the stuff that we talked about to do with the eighth house and the second house, perhaps these things are tied in to your own sense of self and your identity. I just think there's something about Libras and how this is a new moon of you. I'm almost visualizing visualizing. Do you know this? I may be going off a little bit, but stay with me, okay? Do you know how the mythology of Venus, right? So Aphrodite, the mythology is that she was born, and okay, I'm gonna try and be serious. She was born from the sperm of Uranus. The froth or whatever came in up through the ocean, through the water, and she was born from that. And what was it? She came out of like a shell. I think that there's the symbolism of the big clam opening up. But the whole mythology is that so Cronus was the son of Uranus. Saturn, right? So Saturn was the son of Uranus. Uranus was that first one, right? So Uranus and Gaia, they lay together each night. This was the sky, Uranus, and Gaia, the earth. They lay together each night and they created the Titans. And from the Titans was Cronus, Saturn, right? And then Saturn, along with Gaia, basically castrated Uranus. And it said that the sperm from his testicles, they created Venus, right? I know. And they created Venus, okay? Venus emerged, okay? Now, I kind of went off on the mythology there, which I'm going to talk about in another video coming. But the whole point of this is I'm just visualizing this rebirth, right? The rebirth of Libra. I am visualizing so many Libras just coming into themselves, just beautiful, gleaming, glowing, fresh, new, right? This is what I'm trying to get at, okay? Now, just to stick with this, just to stick on this, Venus will also sextile Mercury. Now, Mercury is there in the third house. So, what does this suggest? I would even say that this is also a time period where many Libras are gaining like greater recognition and support for how they communicate. Where you also notice more opportunities to do with public speaking, to do with taking center stage, possibly. Yeah, this could be quite a lovely opportunity for many Libras, right? Their writings are being recognized. There's more experience and opportunities coming up here to do with your writing, your research, um, and possibly as well, just feeling more like confident about how you speak, how you interact with others, and even just gaining really lovely feedback from other people for what it is that you share, for your gifts, for your talents, all these types of things, Libra. And then, of course, Mercury is in detriment there in Sagittarius. So I would just say with this one, maybe just be cautious of like exaggerating the truth. That could be something that could come up. Okay. Um, Especially even other people exaggerating the truth to you and trying to also have a sort of level-headedness, discernment. This could even be where, with the Libra thing of being so idealistic, and maybe you can get caught up in, oh, this vision, okay? There's this vision. This is what I really want to do, but it's like consider those details as well in order to get to that point. Okay, so that was the mythology. I know, I went completely off there, and I'm sorry. Look, I am sorry. But really, that is the mythology behind it. But truly, the significance of that, like, because Cronus, right? So Cronus castrated Uranus, but then Zeus, aka Jupiter, so Saturn had Jupiter, and then Saturn wanted to devour his children so that his children would not overpower him. So it's so fascinating to think of it like that. Think about how Uranus is that more like that really distanced planet. It's way, way out past Saturn. But then you go one more in and there's Saturn, and then you go another one in and there's Jupiter, and then you see from Jupiter, boom, 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 like all the other planets. But there's just something significant about that process, right? Where Uranus had Cronus, Cronus killed him, and then Saturn or Cronus had Jupiter, and then Jupiter killed him. So, yeah, it's just so interesting. It is just so interesting. But As I say, I will talk more about it in another video. Okay, right. So mythology lesson over. Let's keep on with these horoscopes. The sea foam. Yeah, that is it. Yes, thank you, Tim. From the sea foam. Thank you. And yes, creator, you said that Libra is Latin. Oh, duh, Hannah. Oh. I'm serious. I have my moments. I have my moments. I just keep thinking about the Capricorn stellium video and just my Aquarius stellium. I'm just like, yeah. Anyway. Okay. Yes, exactly. It was like it was all planned. That's the thing. It's the whole thing of fate and destiny and that you can't control fate. It's so interesting. Okay. Okay, let's get serious again. Let's get serious. Ah. Whew, okay. Just want to say thank you, by the way. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to my random, just going off on tangents and laughing at myself and being really silly and, just doing just the silliest of things. Thank you. Okay, so new moon in Scorpio, right? Scorpio. So this is a new moon that's going to happen in your first house. So this is basically your new moon, Scorpio, right? So we're noticing here fresh perspectives to do with your identity, to do with your life path. This is quite a big turning point, actually, for many Scorpios. I think it's big because I think that over the past few years, especially with the South Node being in your first house, like you have evolved and transformed. When I even reflect on the Scorpios in my life, oh my goodness. I know, right? The Scorpio energy it's the sign of transformation. And I know that this is the common thing with Scorpios. They transform, right? Scorpio is that type of energy where you will meet them, right? And then 2 years later, it's like, who are you? And I mean that in a good way. Like I mean that in a really good way. It's like, who? What? What are you doing now? What, you have a business now? What, you're doing this with your life? It is amazing. And so basically all of this is to say that it's been especially strong and potent for you because you've had these eclipses in your first house, in your sign. You've had the South Node there in your sign. So this new moon here in your sign, it's looking here at like this fresh start. It's almost like this is the beginning of the new skin that has been formed. You think about the snakes, right? So the snakes, they shed their skin, and then you see this beautiful new pattern, this beautiful new design. This is the fresh, like new outlook, the fresh start of your new snake skin, Scorpio. And so with Mars then as well being home in your sign, well, this further adds this like momentum, this further adds this oomph, this drive, this, oh my goodness, look at you go. This is big. This is a driving forward energy. This is like physical energy. This is passion. This is growth. This is resilience. Yeah, Scorpios right now coming into this new moon. Oh my gosh, watch them. They know what they want. They know what they want. And that's the thing about Scorpio. Like, when this sign knows what it wants, it's going to fight tooth and nail to get it. It's phenomenal, honestly. So, there is that. But then also, I just want to say, Mars will be combust, right? So, all right, in this way, I'm also thinking that many Scorpios, I think there are still frustrations, okay? So just because, you are determined and you are dedicated when it comes to getting what you want, there's still something here about becoming frustrated by people who are almost like against you, people who get in your way, people who are getting on your nerves. That I think that this is even looking at the tensions over power, the tensions over how it is that you can assert yourself, running into some sort of challenging moments with other people here. And you don't want to get on the bad side of a Scorpio. You don't. So I think that this can look at some sort of like explosive energy, okay? So I think that this is what you're coming up against, and possibly even here looking at people who get in the way of your goals, people who get in the way of what you want. And with Uranus retrograde opposite in the seventh house, I think this can even look at some type of breakthroughs within relationships. Now, of course, this can also suggest things coming to a head, right? Where there's all sorts of tensions and disagreements over, oh my gosh, well, this is what I want and this is what you want. And you're not listening to me. And I'm just going to walk away from this situation. And, it could be that there's some sort of, uh, I would say, there's a, how do I say this? There is this detachment or this not wanting to get too involved. Maybe this is even what's coming up here. It's you not getting too involved and you choosing to detach a bit, which is difficult I think, for Scorpio. It's being able to remove yourself from a situation without becoming so like overly attached to it. Maybe this is a work situation, right? Maybe it's even coming to this point, Scorpio, where you've reached that point. You've reached that level of like, that doesn't involve me. It's not my business. Don't care. Not going to give it my attention. I'm going to break away from this situation. I deserve better. I know my worth. I know my value. It's this type of stuff. And staying in your own lane is coming up as well. Okay? Being able to just stay in your own lane and to not get caught up in any sort of chaotic drama that sets you off your own determined, focused path. Possibly this could even look at sudden changes to do with contracts, agreements, to do with any negotiations. Again, looking at customer relationships, collaborations. Again. Now, Venus will also be in Libra in your 12th. Oh, this is interesting because I think the Venus and Libra energy really is pointing toward just you keeping to yourself. I think what this is looking at is you being the observer, okay? You staying behind the scenes, out of focus, out of view for a little bit, whilst you kind of just watch the show go on. This is what I'm getting. The show that's going on, within relationships, between people you work with, between partners or friends and this type of stuff, family, all of it. It's just like, I am just going to stay way back and I'm going to focus on my values, focus on my money, focus on my own earnings, focus on what I can control behind the scenes, being the power behind the scenes. And possibly as well, looking here at greater relaxation, greater feelings of ease, taking some time out. Now, Venus will also sextile Mercury. That will then sextile Venus. So with a sextile, I think that there are certain choices and decisions to be made about your earning potential, about your spending habits. Maybe this is what you're sort of trying to organize behind the scenes, out of sight, out of view. It's like you're trying to just focus on what it is that you can control regarding your own earnings, regarding your own spending, regarding even refining your own sort of talents and gifts. Maybe even many of you Scorpios, there's something here about you wanting to earn money for how you report, for how you share information, for how you convey information, and even looking at how you can expand information outwardly, broadcasting, publishing, this type of stuff. But that Venus energy in the 12th is still looking at the ways in which you can earn money from such matters, but to go over that information alone, to not present it so quick, but to just, okay, let's review this. But the last thing I want to say with this is Mercury is detriment too. So of course, just perhaps it's also a good idea to think over the details, to not overlook necessary information that can be useful to you. And I suppose, it is you, Scorpio, so you usually leave no stone unturned anyway. Okay. Okay. Let's see. I've missed a few comments. I'll read. Let me see. Can you choose the path to walk down, or of infinite lanes before you get to fate? I don't know. Can we choose? I don't know. That's a question that I'll probably be thinking about later. Earth. Mention says Taurus is Earth. So hold on, Jenny. I just need to read up. Actually, you're convinced that Taurus represents Gaia, Earth, and then Libra represents Venus. Ooh. That's definitely an interesting theory in that, and I could see that. I could see that. Something to perhaps look more into. It is. It's very interesting. Sleeper stirred it up. Archetypes. Very limited by the Neuroman archetypes. It is interesting, I think, with Taurus being connected with Earth, isn't it? No, we love it. We love it. It's good. Do you know what? I encourage discussion. It's good to discuss these things and to talk about astrology. That's what we're here to do. All right. So let's move on to Sagittarius. We've been here for 2.5 hours. Woo! I don't know why I do this to myself. I don't know. I just don't know how to keep things short and brief. I don't know how to do that. It's something I really need to work on. Okay, Sagittarius, let's do this. So Sagittarius, this new moon is going to be happening in your 12th house. So you are going to be gaining a fresh perspective about, oh my goodness, all of the spiritual matters, all of the healing that's been going on behind the scenes for you, all of the inner work that you've been doing. My gosh, many Sagittarians have indeed transformed on spiritual, emotional levels over the past few years. And this then is this fresh perspective. This is the beginning of a new cycle. And I would also say that this could very well be a new moon that has you, do you know what? Spending some time alone, right? Just a little bit of you time, possibly, Sagittarius. Or just some time, escaping into your imagination, reading, um, putting your feet up, just relaxation, basically, to do with the 12th house, Sagittarius. And then we also have Mars there. So I think especially this does look at, okay, relaxation. Okay, where maybe for some of you, your energy levels are just a little bit zapped. Okay, your energy levels are like, I need to rest right now. I need extra sleep, right? The 12th house even looks at sleep. So it could be that many of you are um, more open to sleeping, resting around this new moon, or possibly planting new seeds to do with the very quality of your sleep, or to do with um, even like getting a fresh perspective about what your dreams tell you, even what your dreams are telling you about like anger or repressed annoyance. This type of stuff could come up for you. And this is also looking at being this power driven person behind the scenes, right? Making those moves behind the scenes during your alone time, not giving so much away, going into like hiding, going into your own privacy. But this is all as a way to kind of reassess your goals, to get sort of some understanding about the next step for you. Of course, that stellium, the sun, Mars, and moon will all enter your first house coming into your season. So this really is a new moon. Take that opportunity, right? Take that opportunity to go within, to re-strategize, to make those moves out of sight. And with Mars combust, I would even suggest with this one that the Mars combustion can look at some like frustrations perhaps, because it's like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, I just want to move forward now. I just want to do it now. And Sagittarians, you can be impatient. But that impatience is also from inspiration. It's also from passion. It's from desire. It's like, I have so much that I want to share and so much that I want to do, and I just want to do it all, but I think the Mars combustion can look at some of that. I need to hold back. I need to hold back. I need to keep focused here on this situation out of the public eye for now, or it's time to just hold fire for a moment. But you may be surprised actually by how much that patience can be such a blessing. Oh, blessings, right? Sagittarius energy, blessed. This is the type of energy that we get from you. So yeah, patience certainly around this new moon. Now, Uranus retrograde will also be opposite in the sixth house. So I would say there's some sort of breakthroughs to do with your schedules, your routines, your daily habits, and how such things are even tied to this patience stuff that we're talking about. And possibly as well looking at these major breakthroughs to do with your health. Health could be something to, I would say, be cautious of. Like, how much are you looking after your health around this new moon, especially? Are you forcing things? Are you pushing too much? Are you demanding too much of other people's time? Or are other people demanding too much of your time? What can you actually physically, practically handle? You can't do it all, Sagittarius. This is the energy that says, I can do everything. Like, you can't do it all. And I think even Jupiter and Taurus in the sixth house has been teaching you these lessons, right? Jupiter, of course, your chart ruler, but it's teaching you these valuable lessons about, like, yeah, patience, but also how much you can physically handle, how many projects you can physically take on, what schedules are you I'm trying to follow, but things slip away because there's only so much time in the day. Uranus retrograde opposite could look at, okay, time to explore some alternatives here, time to make some adjustments, change. What changes can be made? Now, Venus will also be in Libra in your 11th house. Okay, so I think that this is quite a social time. Social time for many Sagittarians. Great. So I think in this respect, it could be that you're feeling quite attractive, you feel like you're seen within your groups, your communities, your teams. You feel like there's greater teamwork there. Or perhaps this is even looking um at any sort of, well, we think about the South Node as well, any sort of times when you're being a little bit too people pleasing, possibly, right? And maybe this even filters back into all of the 12th house, 6th house stuff that we're talking about here, right? Where maybe you're making certain promises or decisions, but it's like, do you know what? I actually want to put myself first, or do you know what? I actually don't have time for that, or I actually can't do that, or I need to decline that invite. I need to decline that opportunity. Maybe these are certain things to think about, to assess, okay, during this new moon. But still, Venus in the 11th house can suggest like perhaps you sharing your gifts within the group, or feeling like there is a great sense of community and teamwork, and there's a nice pleasantness, and creating that comfortable setting, that comfortable space for everyone around you, and making sure that people are getting along. This can be quite beautiful energy for that. And I would also say with the sextile to Mercury, well, Mercury's going to be in your sign in the first house there, Sagittarius. So I think a lot of Sagittarians, I think that more of you are going to be using your voice, like more of you are going to be spreading knowledge. Of course, this is you, Sagittarius. Right? Spreading knowledge, spreading the word, spreading um all of the information that you've learned. And it's going to come across as so exciting and enthusiastic and this type of stuff. But maybe it's also about keeping a little bit back, right? Sure, there's the Mercury energy looking at communication, but when we get to your season, this is when it's like, right, full force, go. maybe, maybe when we get to your season, it's going to invite more of the moving forward energy, where it's like, right, okay, I'm ready, I've thought about it. This is the bigger picture, this is my understanding of things, and now I'm really going to share it all. But still, this, I think, this combination of Venus and Mercury, it can be quite a beautiful combination for like great social skills, getting along with others, making others laugh, entertaining others, hosting, inviting friends over, go seeing your friends more, making more time for those sort of more fun, adventurous activities. But of course, Mercury is in detriment in your sign, Sagittarius, and you possibly know this all too well. But uh, just to be cautious of any sort of commitments that you're making, which you can't actually commit to. Maybe that's something just to be cautious of. Time, thank you so much. Thank you. That's very, very kind of you. And thank you for saying that as well. That's really lovely. Um, David, you said, why would you want a short brief vlog from content for the win? Yes. Triple E Mercy said, yes, please. I'm not sure what the yes, please was to. But yeah, I just read it. Okay. Okay, so all right, let's move on to Capricorn. Capricorn, you are up. We've got 3 signs left. We are doing this. We're doing this. I think I will keep things a little bit shorter for future videos because I wanted to do more than just the house that the moon is in. But you know what? I hope you find this video to be helpful. You said, Hannah, are you in for a 24-hour live stream? Really? 24 hours? No? Are you serious? Are you actually serious? 24-hour live stream? So what, you're gonna like watch me sleeping? Be weird. That'd be really weird. Okay, so 40. You guys make me laugh so much. Good, Barbara. I'm so glad you find them to be helpful. Yay! I'm so glad. Thank you for your feedback. Do you know what? It's good to laugh. It is good to laugh in Buffalo live stream. Can you just imagine, like, can you just imagine me getting a, what do you call a GoPro? GoPro and put it on top of my head and just every single day just having that recorded for a whole month. Oh my goodness, it'd be absolutely terrifying. Right. Okay, let's do this again. Right, Capricorn. Need to have these moments in between. You know what? It's nice. It's really nice to interact with you all as well. It's so fun. Okay, Capricorn. So Capricorn, this new moon is going to happen in your 11th house. Okay, Capricorn. So of course, fresh perspectives, new intention setting to do with, well, your communities, your teams, your groups, any firms, organizations you're a part of. I mean, you look for depth within groups. You want to be part of the groups where there is that like emotional intimacy and there is that like that a meaningful sort of element to the relationship, and there's trust, right? There's trust, there's dedication, there's commitment, these types of things. You seek out these types of relationships, no superficial fluff for Capricorns. And you can also read people, I think, very well. Capricorns, you tend to sort of like observe the intentions and the motivations of others. And I think you can be quite good at picking up on any sort of like ill intentions or any ulterior motives from other people. But anyway, all of this is to say that this is a new moon where you're getting these fresh perspectives about such matters and setting new intentions to do with such matters, possibly even looking at how you're going to really transform over the next few years when it comes to groups and teams and communities and friendship circles. Perhaps you already have, as the eclipses have been in your 11th house, Capricorn, but there just seems to be a new cycle coming in. Now, Mars will also be in the 11th house for you. So there's also like this driving force, this motivation being poured into your groups, being poured also into like your hopes and wishes for the future. Like there's a dedication, there's a resilience, there's a commitment here to your hopes and wishes for the future, especially thinking about how your hopes and wishes for the future align with something more occult or um, perhaps even looking at how they align with investments, business, enterprise, these types of areas. But yeah, I think that this is looking at a great deal of like physical energy, action, drive, feeling that push and having that will, having that power to like drive forward and make things happen. Now, Mars will also be combust. So I think that Mars combustion, it can like get some frustrations and tensions, like blow ups with certain friends or coming to a head with certain members of the group. But the thing about this, I guess, with you Capricorn with Scorpio in the 11th is that maybe what you strongly learn or come to realize throughout your life is the whole thing about how the unconscious plays a role, right? How the unconscious plays a role in such blow ups. You know, eh, a lot of the times the things that we dislike in others are the things that we dislike in ourselves. That this type of stuff, more of the like psychological elements to friendships and groups and teams. And so maybe the Mars combustion can look at some of those tensions and frustrations, but also at the same time, you having that maturity, right? Maturity, Capricorn, having that maturity to turn inward and go, what is this teaching me about myself? Like, well, what's coming up here? Why did I not like that? Why is that annoying me? What is it about that person that really gets under my skin? Ugh, this type of stuff. Now, Uranus retrograde will also be opposite in your fifth house. So, this I think is an interesting one because I think the opposition can look at how these relationship, social matters are somehow linked in with the breakthroughs that have happened for you on an individual level, thinking about self-expression, your individuality there, your ego there to do with the fifth house and how, you've been advancing, you've been evolving. There's been such a change that's been ushered in to do with your individuality and how that is so much about your own like physical growth, and looking even at your value, like your values, your self-worth. But yeah, I think any any of these frustrations and these tensions and these irritations to do with the collective, to do with the group. I mean, the 11th house even looks at like the collective vision, or the way society is as a large. So any of those tensions that come up, I think are going to be like a reminder to yourself, or like they're going to trigger something about you and about the changes you want to make within your own life, or the changes that you want to make for your own children. Even think about how Capricorn is tied to tradition and legacy and what you build, what you leave behind um to the younger generations. Capricorn, this is something that you perhaps recognize. So maybe for you, there's something about how the new moon is going to trigger and what you want to leave behind toward your children, right? The security that you want to build for your children, for the young, for the innocent. And then also I would even say how there will be breakthroughs to do with your own creative visions, to do with your creative, or your creations, your hobbies. These types of things are going to come up. I mean, when it comes to your hobbies and your creativity, you're quite consistent, and you there's like a genuine enjoyment there, basically, when it comes to what you create. Okay, so Venus will also be in Libra in your 10th house. Oh, so that's an interesting one, because I think that the 11th house, 5th house matters that we talked about, they're also going to be tied to, uh, well, like I was saying, tied to your legacy, tied to what you're building, tied to your own accomplishments and achievements here, the long term, the long haul. So maybe this is even looking at how this is a new moon that's going to bring up a lot for you with respect to relationships and the types of business deals that you make, or the types of connections that you make, the type of collaborations that you're a part of, which in a way are based on respect, they're based on integrity, they're based on purpose as well in some respects. And so, yeah, I just think as well, this is looking at how appealing you're going to appear, attractive you're going to appear. And maybe that appeal, that attractiveness, comes from greater, like, I wouldn't just say it's not about necessarily like being recognized. Maybe it's about the ways in which you share your gifts, because you can come across as knowledgeable, as intelligent, as it's almost like you can see both or all sides, right? And that may really, really shine through for you during this new moon and over the next while. Now, Venus will also make a sextile to Mercury. So Mercury will actually be in your 12th house. So this sextile, I think, I think what's going to come up for you is there's something about the subconscious trying to get through. Okay, the unconscious coming through about your dreams, the unconscious coming through about opportunities, about going further, about wider visions, expanding yourself, your own sort of personal growth. I think, yeah, I think that that's going to even influence how it is that you show up amongst the public, how it is that you radiate outwardly there, I suppose, how you glow, I suppose, to do with Venus. So how you glow within a public forum, or amongst your managers, amongst your bosses, within your business, within your organization. But of course, Mercury is in detriment. So, I mean, especially with it being in the 12th house, hmm, I would say just be cautious of like any secrecy, be cautious of deception, be cautious of any um, untruths, basically. And I know, Capricorn, it's you, and you're not really gonna fall for like false false information. Possibly this could be like a false apology and you see right through it. This type of stuff. Yeah. So just want to add that at the end. David, you said GoPro would actually be class point of view of an astrologer, like a game mixed with a vlog video. You decide what to do that day. Be in the game. Someone needs to make that video game. Someone needs to make it. And it'll be called Point of View of an Astrologer, and then it'll just be like gamers. I don't know. Oh jeez. Netflix, Bandersnatch? What's Bandersnatch? I've never heard that. I have to look that up. Bandersnatch? I will have to look that up after. Oh my gosh. The True Hannah Show. Patreon only exclusive. Now, if I'm doing a month of a live stream, I'm gonna be paying like I'm gonna be charging like $1,000. I need to earn my living, okay? Ah. Barbara, you said once you were talking about Aqua and you had your moment like today. I remember that you learned so much Aquarius about Aquarius. Oh my gosh. Could hold on. What you're talking about Aqua? That's so much. Yeah. I had to double check what you're saying there, but yeah, I know. Okay, we're on two more signs. Aquarius. Whew, here we go. We're coming on to 3 hours. All right. You know what? We're getting there. We're getting through this. We can do this. Right. Aquarius. So, Aquarius, this new moon is going to happen, well, in your 10th house. So, well, planning new seeds, setting new intentions to do with your reputation, to do with your accomplishments, your achievements for the future, the long term, looking here at social status, perhaps looking at your career, but also purpose, right? Your life's mission, your life's work. All of this stuff is like being highlighted during this new moon. And of course, the thing is that there have been eclipses in your 10th house for the past few years. And so huge significant changes have been ushered in when it comes to your public image, right? When it comes to your reputation. And then from these significant changes, this is a new moon where it's like, oh, I can see what I've learned. I can see what's come up for me over the past few years. And now it's the start of a new cycle, but also taking a little bit of time to reflect, right? To reflect on what understandings came up, what research did you do? What, maybe there's more research that needs to be done. When I reflect on this, right? So I have an Aquarius sun. I'm like, wow, I mean, so much has changed when it comes to what I do professionally. When I reflect back to where I was 2 years ago, I think, oh my gosh, like my videos have changed, the direction of the channel has changed, my services have changed. I have Patreon now, and it's good. Like it's really good because it just shows the evolution, the transformation, the growth, the changes that you're able to make. And Aquarians, you can be quite similar to Scorpio. Of course, there's major differences, but you can be similar to Scorpio in that you can really change in these profound ways. And yes, you can be stubborn. It can take a while for like the message to get through to you, but whenever there's the light bulb moment, I get that quite a bit actually. It's almost like a light bulb goes off and then it's different. There's like a switch. That can be you, Aquarius. So maybe a lot has happened then for you with respect to this. Okay, so thinking about your future direction, your life's work, a lot has evolved, which is amazing. So Mars, being in the 10th house as well, looks at this motivation of yours, right? There is this follow through. It's like, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up on this live stream, okay? I'm finishing these horoscopes. Sorry. No, but for real, this is like finish it through, see it to completion. You can do this. It's this type of like inner warrior energy. And it's also looking here at how it is that you can be in a position of like power. And it's not necessarily about being a power over other people, but it's more about your personal power. It's more about your own growth and your ability to overcome, to be resilient, to get better at what you do, to learn from your mistakes, and to also overcome those like psychological challenges, any psychological challenges that come up. Now, Mars will also be combust. So this can also suggest like some irritations and frustrations about like, oh my gosh, how am I recognized? How am I seen? What is the future of my career? What is my life path? Like my purpose, my mission, all of these like I would say intense feelings about such matters. And maybe it kind of feels like it could very well feel like you're depleted, you're energetically just like, oh my gosh, I'm worn out here. When is the breakthrough going to come? But this Scorpio energy looks at transformation, right? And the other thing I just want to clarify again, the Mars Cassimi is coming up. Yes, Mars is combust for all signs, like for everyone. We've explained the Mars combustion, but a few days after, the Mars Cassimi will happen. And that, I'm going to talk more about it closer to the time, but that is going to be like a big shift in consciousness and awareness when it comes to drive, when it comes to your motivations, when it comes to your passions, your will, these types of things. But still, the new moon, it's just a time period just to kind of go, right, what feels off? What would I like to change? How how is it that I'm feeling frustrated here? Am I maybe even experiencing feelings of like anger or jealousy or resentment? Any of these types of Scorpio feelings or the feelings tied to this archetype, okay, those tensions could come up. Now, Uranus is also retrograde in the fourth house opposite. So maybe this even looks at what breakthroughs can be made within your home, right? Any sort of new transitions, new shifts that can come up here to help you kind of further yourself, even within your home space, but also within your own emotional world, okay? I think even for many Aquarians, with Uranus transiting the fourth house for you over the past few years, you have these ideas in mind, right? You think about even hopes and wishes for the future tied to your sign and Uranus there being one of your rulers. You have these ideas and these visions in mind about home, about where you live, about family, about what you need emotionally, about any sort of significant transitions there within these areas. Okay, so there's all that that's coming up. But I think that the new moon is going to trigger a lot of that. I think it's going to come along. It's going to suggest like an aha moment or a moment of clarity or a flash of insight or a realization or looking here at major breakthroughs or how it is that you can even break away from a certain emotional cycle or an emotional pattern that does not serve you very well. That's a possibility. Venus will also be in Libra in your ninth house. So maybe this is even looking at you feeling somewhat attractive about the ways in which you share information, you broadcast it, you publish it. Maybe this even looks at the significance of working alongside other people, collaborating with other people, making negotiations about publications, signing a certain deal, a business deal about a publication of yours. Now, again, just a reminder, this is a new moon. It's about intention setting. It's not necessarily like, oh, the day of the new moon, I'm going to sell it or I'm going to sign a contract or a publication, whatever. It's more about give it time, okay? And maybe it's that there is a greater desire to sort of uh, see how your gifts can be shown to people in a whole new light, in a way where you actually feel, oh my gosh, I'm getting good feedback, I'm being recognized, or I'm collaborating with people that I never thought I would collaborate with. Ah, that's so cool. So there's some opportunities there. And you know what? The ninth house is about travel. My goodness. I I don't mean to make this about me. Right? I do, but I don't. Oh, I do. But I really want to go to Japan, okay? Can we manifest that, guys? I'm joking. Joking. I'm joking, okay? No, man, right? And it's a good new moon to set those intentions, right? Because that Venus energy. But anyway, back to your quiz. This could be a new moon where you just feel drawn toward a certain culture, toward a certain country. You want to travel, you want to expand, you want to get out there in the world, you want to be adventurous, you want to grow, you want to spread your wings. So maybe this is about doing so with a partner or with a friend, or just like seeing that the fourth house, 10th house stuff we talked about, it's somehow tied in with this. Okay, it's linked to it. Now, the last thing is Mercury is in the 11th house in Sagittarius, possibly traveling with a group, okay? Traveling to a completely different destination, um, because of connections, because of networking, this type of stuff. But also, I would say being quite like fun and laughing and enjoying yourself with friends, and feeling like you're a part of something that's bigger than yourself. Looking at your communities, right? Okay, being a part of your communities and seeing that, oh, there's growth here and I feel so blessed, I feel so lucky. Now, Mercury is in detriment. So, like I've been saying with everyone, that Mercury in detriment energy, I would also say just be cautious then of any sort of empty promises. Be cautious of getting so swept away by, oh, well, this is the amount of money that I can make, or this is the opportunity that's being presented to me through a group situation, but it's like, is that so realistic? How can you also ground yourself a little bit? Yeah. So that is yours, Aquarius. It's a subscriber. Yeah. 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 Yes. Honestly, if I ever get to Japan, I have to do a live stream in Japan because I have to remember this day. Oh my goodness, that would be so fun. Do like a full moon or a new moon horoscopes in Japan. That would be so cool. Oh my goodness. Oh, oh my word. Okay. Tim, by the way, you said that you were born on the 8th of February as well, and you're also yeah, you're also an Aquarius. Snap, we have the same birthday. Aquarius and Capricorn. Oh, jeez. You also said that you'd be working for 40 years toward a better appreciation of the martial arts as a regular curriculum in people's lives. Oh, wow. And you've been doing that for over 40 years? Wow, you must like be super, super experienced then. Alexander, you say you want to go to Japan in June and you're saving. Oh, I'm so jealous. Ah, and thank you. Start manifesting Japan. Oh my god, yeah, that's so true. They do. I agree. They do feel like they're made for Japan. Okay, right. So we're getting on to the last one. Pisces. Pisces always has to wait till the last, but that's just how it goes. Sorry, Pisces. You've had to listen to me blab on for the past 3 hours to get to you. Hopefully, you're watching this on replays and then you can just go all the way to the bottom. Barbie said, sign me up for this meetup in Japan. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, that'd be so cool. Oh, right, let's do this. And David, yes, I know you're a Pisces. Right, let's do it. Serious time again. Okay, so Pisces, this new moon is going to happen in your 9th house. Right, so what's coming up here is how over the past few years, there have been eclipses in your 9th house of travel, self-exploration, further learning, possibly you got to think about further training, thinking about how it is that you can add to your experience, new opportunities. So I think that this is a new moon that's going to invite new intentions when it comes to such matters, but it's about seeing how far you have come since the eclipses. So over the past few years, like what big major shifts and revelations have come up with respect to like travel, self-exploration, further knowledge, even thinking about your beliefs, like how have your beliefs shifted and changed, your deeply held beliefs about the world around you, even about yourself, and just how much of a psychological journey that has been for you. And so, as I say, this is about you gaining a fresh perspective. This is about planting new seeds to do with these areas. And then Mars is also there in the 9th house. So this Mars energy is like this. It's a big force. It's a push. It's a drive. There's so much will. There's so much dedication. Maybe a lot of you Pisces are like you're coming to the end of the finish line when it comes to like a higher educational program, when it comes to like further training that you're doing, and you're getting so close to the finish line. Or, it could be that you can sense that this thing is going to change you, it's going to transform you, it's going to open up new avenues for you, new opportunities to the world. Like that's so remarkable. So that can be a big motivational factor for you. But then you see Mars will also be combust. So that can suggest some irritations and tensions to do with the higher educational stuff. Okay, this could even be where it just feels like you're just not getting it, right? You're not at a certain level that you want to be at, and you're thinking, oh, this is so frustrating, this is so annoying. Or it could be where you're so close to like a major breakthrough, right? You're so close to a point where you understand something, but you're still at that point during the new moon of frustration and you just want to get there. Okay. Or this could be even a tension regarding a previous belief, like a conditioned belief, a certain belief that you hold about yourself, or that you hold about the past, or even certain beliefs other people project onto you. I mean, Pisces energy, a lot of the times Pisces get projected on a lot. You can act as mirrors toward other people. Still, maybe in this way, this Mars combustion, it looks at some of these irritations, okay? Now, as I was also trying to say and suggest, the Mars Cassimi is coming up, so there's going to be like big, big releases and shifts and all the rest of it coming up for all signs. So for you, of course, Pisces, this pertains to your deeply held beliefs. 2, higher education, these areas that we just talked about. Now, Uranus retrograde is also opposite in the 3rd house. So this could be, major transitions and breakthroughs to do with general discussions, general conversations, those day-to-day interactions, basically, even seeking alternatives, looking here at how you can break away from perhaps a not so pleasant discussion. Maybe this is even looking at you butting heads with a few people, and it's just like, yeah, they're not listening to me. Um, or they're just trying to wind me up. They're just trying to get under my skin. Don't have time for that. Bye. It's, I think it's important to have some level of like detachment or to separate yourself from any conversations that just seem too harsh, or too chaotic or explosive. And maybe as well, this even further looks at how you apply what you're learning in practical ways and making breakthroughs as well. And seeing how such breakthroughs can invite more of a physical change in your life, even just looking at your overall lifestyle, like what changes can be ushered in. And perhaps those changes are even quite healthy, even healthy for your mind, right? Having those like supportive, holding thoughts, those calming thoughts. We're noticing this with a lot of Pisces, with Uranus in the 3rd. Just the being able to feel somewhat more grounded mentally because of those intellectual changes that have been happening, because of the growth that has been happening for you in terms of your mindset. And even just deciding, that you are going to think for yourself more, or that you're going to challenge the status quo, right? Questioning the status quo, questioning authority as well. This, like, literally doing that using your voice. And maybe, yeah, that creates some type of like a liberation for yourself, or like a freedom, like a freedom mindset. That's what's coming to my mind. A freedom mindset. And that within itself can be really rewarding. Now, Venus will also be in the 8th house. So, perhaps this also suggests that the 3rd house, 9th house stuff that we just talked about, that is somehow tied to intimacy, closeness, establishing more meaningful bonds. So even, feeling closer with a loved one, feeling closer with your partner, okay? Because of all of that like inner work, because of the learning, because of the further knowledge, because of the deeper understanding, just more effective communication perhaps. Or this could even look at how the things that you're learning and the transitions that you've been going through, they can assist you when it comes to like money, right? Shared resources, shared money, new bank accounts, paying off debts, loans, all this type of stuff, okay, to do with the 8th house. So maybe there's greater like gifts and rewards in this way, or just even seeing the beauty in, like, how do I say, darker moments, seeing the beauty in raw moments, capturing the emotion of a person, of a situation. Maybe a lot of Pisces, you're getting really creative. You've been super creative the past while. I mean, Pisces energy, so creativity, the artistic expression of Pisces is just amazing. So perhaps that Venus in Libra energy is just looking at your art form and your creativity and how you convey that emotion through these, conveying emotion through your relationships. So that I think that's interesting. Now, well, what I want to properly say there was conveying the emotion through art, but the art perhaps it looks at like people, it's almost like a relationship is shown through that art, and then that's where a lot of that beauty comes in. Okay, lastly, Venus sextile Mercury. Mercury's in the 10th house for you Pisces during this new moon. So Mercury in the 10th can certainly suggest like those conversations about bigger business opportunities. Maybe for some Pisces, with the sextile between Venus and Mercury, it's looking here at a new work opportunity that can assist you in paying something off, or it can assist you and your partner as a team when it comes to something financial. Or this could be where you gain a deeper, or you start to further understand what it is that you're striving toward, what your accomplishments are, what the accomplishments that you're basically trying to achieve, right? There's a greater understanding, there's like more vision there, being a visionary. I suppose, of course, with you Pisces, amazing visionaries, but it's almost like you see it so clearly, like there's there's a way that you understand that vision more, and that is supported by intimacy, that is supported by even shared resources or other people's money, possibly, and then that other people's money can perhaps go into your vision. Now, the other thing is Mercury is in detriment. So, of course, with Mercury in detriment, this can also suggest that just be cautious of like running away with yourself. Pisces energy can be like this. It's like, oh wow, this is amazing. And then it's almost like the thing, it's you basically run away with it. And there can, how do I say this? There can be this excitement or this passion, but maybe the lack of like, okay, well, this is the step-by-step process on how to get there, right? These are the practical, necessary steps that you need to make to get there. It's not just about wishful thinking. It's not just about living in a world of ideals or even like fantasy and dreaming of the thing. You actually have to go and do the thing. It's this type of energy. So maybe Mercury here, it says, yes, hold that vision, be inspired, but just also don't overlook the necessary steps and don't overlook the details. Okay. Okay, so that is us. That is us. I have put a Q&A there, but we're going to skip the Q&A today because it's late. And I do just want to remind you of Patreon. So Patreon, you can get extra astrology content early over at Patreon. And of course, I just want to say thank you so much to my patrons over there. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of your support, and I love doing the daily forecasts every day. I love posting on Patreon, and I love the Patreon community over there. Really appreciate you. Thank you so much. So that is us. And if you did enjoy this live stream, You can always buy me a coffee, no pressure, it's completely up to you. And I'm just going to read through the comments one more time to see what I missed, and then I'm going to get going. Time, thank you so much. Time, again, I appreciate it. Thank you. And Alexander, you said, whenever you hear the word combust, you think of something being crushed by a hydraulic press. Oh, oh, ouch. Um, he has, well, welcome. I'm actually just about to go, but welcome. Yeah, you said this ninth house and third house stuff. You've been feeling this. Oh, okay. So am I correct in saying, is it, are you a Pisces, or is it that you have a Pisces rising? Yeah, you have a Pisces rising, isn't that right? You're an Aquarius, Virgo moon, Pisces rising. Am I right in saying that? In my memory, could be wrong. Uh, David, he said thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, David. It's awesome. Thank you for being here today. It's good to see you. And I hope you and Nicola are doing really well. Yeah. So triple emers. Yes, have a lovely week. Have a lovely week ahead. Definitely. Thank you, creator. Thank you. You said yes, yes. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Right. So that is me. Gonna get going. Thank you for your time. It's coming up to like nearly 3.5 hours, but I really appreciate your time. I hope that you find your horoscopes to be helpful during this time. And you know what? I just appreciate just chatting with you today. It's been really, really nice. It's been fun, interactive, playful. It's been fun, and you've definitely put a smile on my face. And have a great week. Yes, everyone, have a great week ahead. Happy Sunday. Enjoy your week. Thank you for listening, and I will talk to you all very, very soon. Okay? Bye.